One word. What's the team called?
The Devils.
Well, it has to be the Devils or...
Spirit.
The Spirit.
Tasmanian Spirit.
And have a boat. We go as slow as a ship.
Early front runner for the 20th team?
I would wonder if there's actually just going to be 18 teams.
That's an interesting talking point. Got a city or a destination for us? No.
Me?
Yeah. Quick.
It's probably going to be Perth.
Cal?
If he's saying that, I'm saying Adelaide. I'd love to see Darwin.
Oh.
As we welcome our audience right across the country to Docklands Friday night footy under the roof, a sold-out crowd. It is Carlton up against the Brisbane Lions. Both teams with just a couple of losses each on the season so far. There is no late change. Matthew Kennedy is the sub for the Blues and Jared Lyons is the sub for the Brisbane Lions. We'll be back here at Docklands for the full preview in just a moment on Grandstand AFL.
We are one,
but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice.
You're listening to ABC Radio.
You are, we are Australian. We are Australian.
ABC Sport.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Marks out to the right, steps on goal, superb finish.
Turns, whacks it straight through the middle. Pulls the trigger on goal and goes bang!
'Cause here it comes, here it comes.
AFL.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
It's always a big ticket event when Carlton play under the Friday night lights here at Docklands, and it's a sold-out crowd for the Blues and the Brisbane Lions. Both teams with just 2 losses on the season. Patrick Cripps coming up against the team in the Lions, in which he was suspended against last year, had it overturned by the appeals board, triggering a change in the league's bylaws in the process. Michael Voss, of course, the coach of the Carlton Football Club, up against the team in which he captained to 3 premierships in the early stages of the millennium. Just the second time that he comes up against his old mob. There is no late change. Friday night footy. Matthew Kennedy is the sub for the Blues, and it's Jared Lyons for Brisbane. It is the annual Carlton Respects Game, something that has been in place since 2016, a relationship with Our Watch, which raises awareness for violence against women. There was just a 56-second silence, which acknowledges those who lost their lives due to domestic violence in 2022. The theme this year is Action Through Education. The number for Our Watch is 1-800-RESPECTS. That's 1-800-RESPECT, sorry. That's 1-800-737-732. So Carlton will have the orange accent around the stadium again tonight. So orange is the new navy blue, as they say. They'll have the orange trim on the jumper, as well as the orange socks that the club will be wearing tonight. My name's Corbin Biddlemass, calling the footy with Tim Hodges down on the boundary, Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling, our Grandstand AFL experts, and Kelly Underwood to call the footy with me.
Corby, as a kid, I would watch on a Sunday night Young Talent Time. It feels like Young Talent Time has come on a Friday night here under the closed roof after a very cold, miserable, drizzly Friday night in the city of Melbourne. But how good is Australian rules football when you can come along and see a reigning Brownlow medalist, a reigning Coleman medalist, another Coleman medalist, another Brownlow medalist, the Goal of the Year winner who kicked it last week in Will Ashcroft, who's a teenager, Charlie v Charlie. King Charles is going to be the coronation of him tomorrow. We get the King Charles coronation here tonight. Who's going to have a better game? I'd love to ask the gentleman in the commentary box that before the very first bounce here, because Charlie and Charlie have been in scintillating form. But it feels like Young Talent Time. So much talent on one oval. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's funny you talk about that talent. 2 of the players who've almost single-handedly or dual-handedly ruined it for all other draftees are running around out there tonight. Will Ashcroft, Sam Walsh, and throw in Nick Dacos as well in the black and white. Now fans come to the footy when they've got a new draftee playing thinking, you should play like those guys.
Yeah.
Just start dominating from the very first day that you take the AFL field. It is not always like that.
No.
But we've got 2 of them out here tonight. Sam Walsh has been superb since he was taken with the number 1 pick. Will Ashcroft. I remember talking to Stephen Wells last year, late in the season, might have even been around finals time, saying, how good is this Ashcroft kid? And he said, let's put it this way. We're probably likely to see Brisbane deep in the finals. Ultimately, they did in a prelim. Will Ashcroft could probably start in this team today, and this is without a pre-season. He was that good, and I think we've seen it from him so far in his very, very short career. He is something special.
And Michael Voss was asked about it at his press conference this week out at Carlton because he knows the kid so well. He would have seen him grow up through the change rooms and whatnot.
And there's a whisper the little brothers possibly better again.
Oh, okay. The Selwood whisperer.
Yeah, boggles the mind to think that he could be better than what, especially the way Will's going. But to answer your question, or try to, Cal, about which Charles will reign supreme tonight, I'll go with Curnow.
Okay, well, Curno's coming off 9, a career high.
Yes, he's in good form.
And Charlie came off a career high a fortnight ago of 7. And the Blues obviously hadn't had a 100-point win in over a decade. So the confidence levels will be up and bubbling. The lights are just dimming here under the closed roof, and both the teams about to run through the banners here. What do you think, Mick? Which Charlie will dominate tonight?
Charlie Cameron lets himself down in big games too often. Curnow, to me, is just a champion, but he will know he's playing tonight because he will have Jack Payne all over him for most of the night until he can't do it, and that to me means that's going to be a fair. That'll go a long way to determining the match. Now, I think Cameron gets taken out of the game too easy against top sides.
Just watching the Blues run out, about to break through this banner, and what a beautiful moment for Sam Doherty. He's holding a little bub in his hand, so obviously a little newborn for Sam Doherty, who looks only about a month old. And, of course, Sam Doherty tonight is playing game number 150 against the team where he started his career. He played 136 at Carlton, and the rest, of course, with Brisbane in his very first year. Picked 12 in 2011. And the story away from the footy field has been well told. 2 rounds of chemo in 2020-21, returned last year in that opening round to kick a goal at the MCG. One of the feel-good moments of the year. He's been All-Australian. He's a best and fairest. Career best, 39 disposals in round 3 earlier this year. Sam Doherty, what a player, what a leader.
Add on, if you can, Cal, that on a training camp, we had a distressing call to say that he'd lost... I think it was his dad, and that was one of his parents, at a training camp. And you think he's not only he had to absorb that, fly back with someone go back with him, and then he got those illnesses. So he and we sometimes just look at the player and go, what a very, very good player. He is an outstanding person. You don't get. Well, I know we constantly pump people, and that's one of the great things about this league is when we look through our teams and know people, you start to think, how great are they as people? Sam Doherty is one of those great people. And I've got to say, we were talking about the Charlies before. I get on pretty well with Eddie Curnow, and Charlie, I've seen him around our place, well, not so much our place, but down the coast time and time again. He goes out of his way to say hello. He's just a real country kid at heart. Doesn't get affected by how many goals he kicks. He just wants to be a very successful player in a very successful side. So again, another great person. Absolutely.
It's funny when you talk about Sam Doherty. I mean, when he missed a chunk of footy, he was coaching from the boundary, and even without that experience, talk to all the Carlton people. He is one of those genuine on-field coaches.
Yep.
We mentioned it with Scotty Pendlebury at Collingwood. Luke Hodge did it so well for Hawthorn, and then famously did it when he went to Brisbane, playing in that. That is so important as they eventually, and they will get there, this Carlton team. I believe in them pretty strongly. They start playing in big finals. If you can have that on-field coach who can just get things sorted and back on your terms a little bit without the message needing to come from the bench, and you can have a calmness out there, that is crucial because I'm sure you've experienced it, Mick. You're trying to get a message out to the group. You're trying to get somebody out there to spread that message. The runner can only get to 1 or 2 people. and 4 or 5 minutes can go by,
Yep.
and that's 2 goals potentially to the opposition.
Absolutely, Lingy. Absolutely.
And if you can have somebody take control of that situation even before you've started getting the message out there, that 4 or 5 minutes can turn into 1 minute of having the game out of your control, and it could cost you maybe a goal, if that, and you're not in a situation in a big prelim final where you're out of the game because of that on-field leadership.
Well, I can talk about it, and I won't go in great detail, but I can say that about a very, very tight prelim final, and you're just thinking, will it happen? I haven't got time to run her out there. What we spoke about on Monday morning, can it happen? Are they doing it? All of a sudden you see 2 or 3 players go into different roles at a stoppage, and I'm thinking, 100,000 people at this game, 130th minute, prelim final goes into a grand final if you win it, and we're 3 minutes from the end of the game, and you watch players get organised. That's coming from experience, it's coming from listening, and it's coming from that leadership on the ground.
Yep.
It's essential. In
the moment, and it's funny as the Brisbane Lions have come out onto the ground here, that's still my question mark around them in big games is, so Lachie Neale's a superstar player, no question whatsoever there, but who else helps organise things? Is Hugh McCluggage going to elevate his game this year, not just from a playing perspective, because I love Hugh McCluggage as a player, but leadership through the middle of the ground? Does Josh Dunkley's influence have a massive part in there? Again, not just from a playing perspective, but I think I know which situation you're talking about with Pendlebury and Luke Ball and these types of people in those big prelim finals. Who's that for Brisbane?
Yeah, that's right.
As we progress throughout the year, and we might not see it play out tonight.
Outside of Doherty, and you already said him, and Chris, Paddy Chris, who else at Carlton?
No, that's a fair question.
Because I reckon they're both on a par. When the pressure goes on, I still think Paddy is still learning his craft as a captain. I don't know whether he's in full charge of it at the moment.
Yep.
And he needs to know that what he says has got to be what the coach wanted, and it's got to be gospel, and it's got to be believed and implemented.
And it's got to be, he's got to bring along Hewitt, Chera, Walsh, who are all ripping players and ripping people along for that journey and fix it together in the middle of the ground, and then others right across the ground. No, that's a fair question you ask, because ultimately that's why they missed out on the finals.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Because of those key moments late in last season.
In fact, if you extend it even further, what you said about Brisbane, they probably have been denied a couple of further finals because that leadership. Carlton certainly.
Yep.
There's no question over the journey last year, there were times when they should have won games of football, and you're looking at it and you're worrying what's taking place out there, because their backline wouldn't say, look, they all should be called Humphrey B. Bear. I mean, at the end of the day, they do not talk. You can't nod at each other in a game of football and think that they're getting the message. Because you go through the numbers, it's got to be Doherty. But if it's not Doc and he's up the field, who in behind him is actually taking control? Who in the forward line? Who in the forward line is taking control? Look, Hawkins or Cameron or Dangerfield goes to full forward, he takes over. Look, I know Selwood's now retired. Stewart's back there. You've got Henry was pretty good, and the list goes on and goes on. Leadership creates a team.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I was only talking about this with someone the other day, and I apologise for bringing this up to you. But the 07 preliminary final is still the loudest crowd of football I've ever played in front of, and someone was asking me about, when you're giving out direction, because one of my roles was to set up the stoppages and lots of direction. And I said, in a game like that, when it's hot, me to you away, Mick, as we're sitting here right now, you can't hear your teammate.
No.
So it has to be multiple people, all understanding what needs to happen, all moving together, all getting things organised, maybe being able to pass on one message in a quick moment and trusting that it will be passed through the group to fix things up, because it is so loud out there and it's all happening so fast that one single person, Russell Crowe as Gladiator at the start of the movie where he's dishing out all these commands. It's not like that because you can't hear them.
No, I don't think the public probably, if you sit in the stand and you hear it, but when you are on the ground, that noise is just you virtually have to look the player in the eye for him to even know that you're talking to him. Yeah, it is a factor that sometimes we do forget about the noise, and this is supposed to be filling up. It's filling up nicely now, so it should be full tonight. So I'd be interested to see under pressure players, depends how quick the ball moves as well. Sometimes if there's a bit of a space, you can hear it. But when it's in close and things have to be done correctly, particularly stoppage work, just setting up, and you only got seconds to set up properly.
I love games like this early on in the year. I know we're at round 8, so much is going to change between now and finals. But for both these teams, you can get a really good lesson on what you do well and a really good lesson on what you need to fix up. And you've got time ahead of you to do it, because with the noise, as you said, Mick, if you think the way you communicate at training is going to work in a full, and because of the roof it echoes, is going to work here, well, you're kidding yourself. Your teammates aren't going to hear you. You need to make sure that you're all on the same page, you're all working together. So this is a great little litmus test for both these teams to say, okay, I understand where we need to elevate to, not just from playing, but from direction and leadership.
Wiggy, cast your mind back 2 or 3 years ago when we sat in this stand, there was no one there. We were listening to the stoppage work. We were listening to what players were saying. But the player who wears the yellow jumper compared to the blue jumper, they're not really listening to each other. They're over each other. They're trying to get more voice over one another. And it's a constant noise, and it's the one who can actually get through to his teammates through the discipline of the training that you've had. So it was quite extraordinary 2 or 3 years ago when there was no one here, and you hear people, you go, wow, I didn't know he spoke so much, or how his voice is, and whatever the case is. So it's a great lesson.
So 5 of their last 6 Brisbane have won here at Docklands. I'm fascinated in Carlton and the psychology coming off a big win. So lost 2 in a row. Everyone's feeling very downcast about the Blues after an undefeated opening 4 weeks to start the season. Then they go to Perth, they have a big victory. So I guess 2 positives to come out of it. They got their centre bounce scoring back, so that was really the trademark of their game last year. So they had a round high. And their second half pressure was actually the highest second half pressure rating recorded all season. So I know all this stuff everyone can say, they played an Eagles team that had an injury list as long as your arm and all the rest of it, and they won by a big margin. But if you're Michael Voss, how do you bottle the good energy from that coming into a matchup which is clearly going to be a step up in class tonight?
And they played with some speed last week too, which I really loved. I want them to get the ball in that forward line a lot quicker. It's a good point you make about the second half. I think they kept playing the right way, which is transferable to the following week. I always worry, Mick, and I remember back to my old coach, Bomber Thompson, saying when you've blown a team out of the water by half time and you play with just this easiness in the second half, and you run around getting a kick, and it's all good and it's easy, and you keep winning and you win by 90 points. He said sometimes the risk is your most recent memory of how you played follows through to the following week. And if you can't snap yourself out of that, you start games slowly. But, Mick, I thought Carlton finished. The game was done, dusted. It was a big win. But they still kept that intensity and pressure up, at least for most of the second half, which says to me they should be able to use that into this week.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they actually deliver those points for pressure, but I only need to look at what Collingwood have done in the last 2 quarters against Essendon and against Adelaide. It wasn't a fluke. It was, when you analyse what's in terms of numbers, Collingwood's pressure was just extraordinarily above the opposition. And if Carlton's pressure has been like that through that last week, what it does, and without knowing numbers, makes you feel good that what you've done, if you're not looking at the scoreboard, you're looking at the method, that's when they'll come okay. If they look at the scoreboard, that's irrelevant. It's got to be the methodology that you feel comfortable with and what you were doing. And Carlton, so that's why this game, I mean, on the way in, this bloke yelled out to me, he's going to win. And I said, look, I think it's going to be a draw. Because I was trying to split it.
You tipped a draw.
Oh, well, I haven't. Only to him. Only to him. And now our ABC listeners have heard it. Only because there's a case for both sides. And I've had problems thinking about both sides being a really top 4 side. I've thrown Brisbane in the top 4 and Carlton out of it. So tonight might determine that.
Yeah. It's always great tipping a draw because if you get it right, everyone goes, oh, wow, you're an absolute genius.
Yeah.
And if you get it wrong, no one remembers tomorrow morning.
No, because he picks draws.
Correct. No one's going to wake up and thought, oh, Mick got it wrong. He picked the draw. Tim Hodges is with us again on the boundary tonight. It wouldn't be a Friday night in Melbourne without Hodgie, with a huge crowd expected here at Docklands. Good evening, Tim.
G'day, Corbin. G'day, crew. Just a legendary coin toss, by the way. Lockie Neal and Patrick Cripps. Neal got the victory. The Lions will kick to the right of screen if you're watching at home, listening to us down to the river end. It is a brilliant atmosphere, Corbin. A sold-out Docklands. The back row of the top deck, right around the stadium, is full. It's an enormous crowd, 45,000 plus. Lots of Blues fans, and I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot of Lions fans. So just a terrific build-up to this game. It's cold and wet and bleak outside. The roof, thankfully, is shut, so just perfect conditions for footy. With the roof shut, it will be super loud, so I expect a really chaotic early start. No late changes. The subs, Matty Kennedy for the Blues, Jared Lyons for the Lions. Good calling, guys.
Thanks, Hodgie. Here we go on a Friday night. The Blues and the Lions with Kelly Underwood.
Perfect bounce. McInerney gets it down, and then straight away the umpire blows his whistle. Hewitt has gone to Lockie Neal. Neal gets the free kick. Handballs it off to Bailey. Bailey goes long, right at the top of the goal square. Good spoil from behind. McCarthy's got it. Breaks the tackle of Sard, but then he's tackled by a Blues player, and it dribbles over the boundary line. And that Blues player coming in was Akers. His second tackle. Nailed him, Lincoln McCarthy, over the boundary.
Been in good form, Akers. Really good form.
Boundary throw in 5 metres around from the Blues goal. McInerney takes it out of there. Quick kick towards goal. Here's Kerno on the goal line. It's touched. It's touched. So rather the Brisbane Lions heading to the southern end. And McInerney took it out of the ruck, snapped it, and the ball bounced right on the goal line where Charlie Cameron was able to pick it up, kick it, with about 20 centimetres to spare, but it was touched through for the first behind of the night.
Here's McGovern on the kick-out duties, goes wide, out to Akers, wanted a free kick, didn't get it, and in the end it's Jack Payne who walks it out of bounds. You touched on him earlier, Mick. Hasn't been outmarked in a one-on-one all year.
All year, yeah, I saw that figure. And you know what, he's going to be tested tonight. Having the size of him, he is a big, strong boy.
He's got Charlie Cameron for company tonight from the boundary throwing, lands short of the rucks, spills down to Neal, tackled by his opposing number Cripps. Ball comes out. Akers, hand pass away to Hewitt, kicks the yellow Sharon down to half forward. Andrews puts his fist into it, close to the boundary line, and Honey's taken out of play. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Blues. So all in their navy blue with the white monogram, the orange socks for the Carlton Respects program, and for the Brisbane Lions, just paying homage to Fitzroy with their predominantly red jumper with the blue chest, the yellow line, and of course the white shorts on the road.
Half forward for Carlton, spinning back in play. Pitnet will get it. Chance here for Akers to Cripps. He's tackled by Berry in a 360. Handballs back to Chera. Gives it off to Hewitt. Breaks one, breaks two. Handballs to Chera. Chera's going backwards. He's wheeling around and then he's kicking on the left further down the ground, and it's spoiled from Leicester over the boundary. One bounce.
That passage of play there is why Brisbane's defence has improved this year. Nothing to do with their back six. It's the pressure around the ball.
Yeah.
That was brilliant by Brisbane and just forced the nothing kick forward.
Carlton now, boundary throw in 65 around from their goal. Going to the northern end. Oh, Pitnet does it beautifully down to Chera. Kicks under pressure. Camped at the drop there. Unable to take the mark was Honey. Barging his way through as Harry Mackay is tackled by three Brisbane players. Standing up in that tackle, he hands the Sharon back to the umpire.
Yeah. Brisbane got the extra behind, which is leaving a Carlton with an extra behind as well. So that's interesting that they're not backing their front six.
Zach Bailey with a rebound 50, kicks up to the wing, spills down to Hipwood. He's shoved out of play by Newman. We'll have the boundary throw in.
It's definitely George Hewitt, as you called early, Corbs, going to Lockie Neal.
Let's see if Neal goes to someone else too, Lingy, because I spoke about this before the game. He shouldn't accept a tag. You've got to roll onto someone else.
Number one clearance player in the game, Lockie Neal, through the first 7 rounds of the season. For the boundary throwing down to Dunkley, squeezes the kick away, but it slides to Akers. Hurried handball to Cripps, floats a kick down the line, and Kadeem Coleman at full stretch takes the intercept mark. Halfback for Brisbane. So the first score of the game are behind for the Lions. We're 3.5 minutes in, and Brisbane with the footy at half-back.
So Coleman's going to kick it down the dock side. The target was McInerney. Clever tap behind Terena. Off to the run of Charlie Cameron. He dashes away, kicks to the top of the goal square. It should sit here for his teammate, and Gunston tries to do the mid-air miracle. and it doesn't pay off.
Wow.
Doesn't make connection, stays in play, and in the end, Hollins is the one, the Blues defender, that rolls it over. So he picked it up, Gunston, and he's had a fresh airy right on the goal line, an absolute fresh airy. Cameron Ling.
That's a goal that's just given up.
Other end of the ground, Cal.
Just checking. I was waiting to see if memories were coming back.
Start on the kick out to Akers, who runs into a cul-de-sac, gives it to McGovern, hand pass to Weeder, and his kick's a turnover. Brisbane headed back inside 50, Berry to the top of the goal square, spills down to Hipwood, hand pass to McCarthy, goal. Pops it through here from the top of the goal square, and the Lions kick the first of the night. 1-2-8, Carlton yet to score. Under the roof at Docklands to start round 8. 4.5 minutes in, Mick Malthouse, Cameron Ling.
Well, it's only early days, and I know the stats are going to go 15, 13, something like that anyway. It's close enough. Carlton in front. But right now, there's been 3 sorties inside the front 50, and honestly, Brisbane could have scored a goal from any one of them. They were caught out the back for a starter.
Yeah.
One that Dunstan just, who am I talking about? Gunston just didn't bounce for. Cameron missed one that he probably would have got, and they got the third one. So they're all over him in the forward line. The backs of Carlton at the moment are really all over. They are just not playing tight enough.
So reset in the centre, another perfect bounce, this time Pitnet, but it's swatted away from McInerney, straight to Rayner. Oh, Drew the defender, Sart just stole it right out of his hands. It was brilliant, and he hoofs it to a 2-on-2. It's Charlie v Silvani. Silvani gets the shepherd away, and the snap from Doherty. Sam Doherty in his 150th. Brilliant by the Blues. Timing is everything. And Super Sam, they swamp him under the closed roof at Docklands. The quick reply for the Blues, 1 straight 6, Brisbane 1-2-8 after 6 minutes of play.
Goes to show how important a good kicker kicking the ball into the forward 50 is. Adam Saad just roosted it long, flat,
through the air,
and quick, wasn't it? Got to a 2-on-2, and I think it was Jack Silvani just popped up straight away. Really good recovery, but it had the Brisbane Lions defence under the pump.
And no numbers.
Yeah, and I think it might have been Starcevic arriving late to get to Doherty, but he'd already got there.
Where is Doherty? He's trying to place
he's coming off half back, but he's really charging through hard.
I'm just wondering whether he's been overlapped by a winger falling back behind him.
Brisbane by a couple of points. Back in the middle, comes down to Neal. He gets the kick inside the forward arc. Punched away by Young. Straight down into the hands of Charlie Cameron. Hand pass to Gunston. Right back at you. Brisbane with the immediate reply. It took 10 seconds out of the middle. And the Lions restore an 8-point buffer. 2-2 to 1 straight. And Jack Gunston, after missing his boot from the goal line moments ago, has one of the opening 5 here. Lions by 8 points.
Oh, they look absolutely hot in that forward. But McInerney's having a big impact in the centre. If he gets the first tap, the second one he just absolutely slaughters forward. The forwards know that it's coming, so they can play in front, knowing that something's going to happen. But also by playing in front, the first line, the second line are able to come up 20 or 30 metres out, and then are able to drop back into that space. And that's exactly what took place by backing their midfield. Very, very good.
Hewitt will not like that replay.
Yeah, and he's standing right next to Lockie Neal, right on the edge of the centre circle. The ruckmen are crouched over. Pitnet rises, misses it. McInerney. This is Ashcroft, who was tackled to the turf. He had a Blues player either side.
That was better starting point from Hewitt. You can't just get sucked into the fall of the ball and let Neal get out on the outside.
McInerney again swats it down to Chera, who just tumbles it on the boot. It's a wobbly one. Silvani does well just inside 50, off to Motlop. Broke one tackle, ran into a brick wall. Blows down behind play. It'll be a free kick holding the ball.
Yeah, in close, really strong in close.
Answorth.
Yep. But they just look like they're up for the hunt here, the Lions.
So there's no man on the mark here. Silvani's opting not to be there. So Answorth still got it in the defensive 50 and just goes very short to Ashcroft, who's got it at half back.
Appropriate word there, Kel. Short, that was 8 metres.
He goes long down the dockside when getting in low was Danaher. Couldn't quite slide in. Spoils Rayner in the end. Quick fire handballs from the Blues through Wiedering and Akers. And now it's Newman who needs to be pinpoint. Harry Mackay was the target, had to bend down low, and he's got to beat 3 Brisbane Lions players. And in the end, it was Ashcroft with a clever little tap over the boundary line.
I like it when Andrews plays like that, Mick.
Yes.
That was really hard up
Tough-
on him,
tough
defending.
football.
Yeah, not outread him, not trying to sag off and give him a big leg rope and let him have easy marks.
But he's got that in him. There's no doubt, Lingy. It's just when he gets a little bit ahead of himself.
Brisbane by 8 points. McInerney down to McCluggage. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Danaher. Sockers out in front of him. Still in the centre square. Ed Curnow collects. Ainsworth got him high in the tackle. Free kick Carlton. Curnow hooks a kick out to the wing. Chin Cotter. Copped an unkind bounce. Bursting onto it. Starcevic grabs it for Brisbane. Hand pass to Joey Danaher. 60 metres out. Kicks a rocket all the way home. His range is unlimited. And Joe Danaher whacks one through from beyond 50. Brisbane by 14 points, 3-2-20. Carlton one straight, 10 minutes in on grandstand.
I was going to say about Eddie Curnow. Eddie's a heart and soul player, but his disposal at times can be a bit erratic. And that was a play that just went in between, not definite. And that's gone from 55 metres. So,
and when that forward line of Brisbane plays like that,
yes,
it's dangerous. Like Joe Danaher kicks a magnificent goal, superb goal. But he had Charlie Cameron flying back towards goal. He had Jack Gunston leading up. Either one were on.
Yep.
Instead, he just whacked it home, said thank you very much.
Shortest way home.
So the Blues defence under siege here early under the closed roof. It's Brisbane by 14 points. 10 minutes gone. Here we go into the centre again. Now this time it's Danaher that rises against Young. Young wins it at ground level. Fighting and scrapping is Dunkley. He's tackled by Cripps. Now the ball is spilling clear. Sharp pounces on it. Sharp tries to beat a couple. Sharp can't. He's been brought down by Hollands. And it'll be a free kick to the young Blue. Great tackle. Wants to go quickly. Handballs to Hewitt. He's on the outer side and he stabs a pass to Mackay. Great spoil by Andrews from behind. The umpire's blown his whistle. Says it's a free against Andrews.
Don't know why.
In that marking contest it must have been. Harry Mackay.
There might have been a hand on the back, but that's all, and that could happen anywhere.
So he's 70 out. He's just going to drive it as long as he possibly can. It's going to be touched right on the line. It's still in play. Here's a chance. Great tackle by Motlop.
Wow.
That was applied on Dunkley, is it? No, it's Ainsworth. And the umpire said all legal, all fair, ball up, edge of the goal square here for the Blues. Only 10 metres out. It's Young in the ruck with Danaher. Looking to get it to Cripps. Cripps might have a second bite at it here. Quick handball to Hewitt. Off to Doherty. This time his snap was smothered. Walsh has got it. Throws it on the boot. Comes out to Honey. Honey on the left. Honey misses. It was high and it floated left late. All the Blues faithful. The Navy Blues faithful went up behind the goals at the northern end. Lions by 13 points. 12 minutes played in this first quarter.
Here's Connor McKenna, goes short to Starcevic. And marks at half back.
They look for the lateral ball coming out of the back. Oh, actually, they're taking it now. So, but the Blues have done really well by playing just inside their direct opponent. So now Brisbane are forced way back and got no one to kick it to.
Andrews at fullback, swings it to the back pocket for Payne. Long kick out to the wing and good mark. Arriving late to come through and take it is Ryan Lester. Looks back inboard with the kick.
Berry's on here.
To Bailey. Long kick in the Berry direction. Mackay getting back the lender hand. Competes in the air. Spills down Brisbane's way. Heavy tackle from Mackay. Ump says ball up.
Gee, that was special by Harry Mackay. He had to run 40 metres to get there to make the spoil on Berry and then followed up with a superbly executed tackle. Love that from your key forward.
Absolutely.
Umpire tosses it in the air. Danaher shoves aside Young, grabs the footy. He's pinged in the tackle from Doherty. Ball spits out and here's Dunkley on the wing. Hand pass away to Wilmot. High bomb inside the forward arc. They come from all directions. Silvani sitting in front of the pack takes a huge pack mark. Half back for Carlton. It's Brisbane.
50.
What did he do? He got off the ground.
Link McCarthy.
Lincoln McCarthy was on the ground.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I think it was Hipwood who was called to stand on the mark.
Okay,
And then he
that's
ran
what-
off the mark.
Oh, no, someone can't come in.
And McCarthy can't come in.
He was on the ground.
So Silvani's now got it on the edge of the centre circle. He bombs it long. Tough one to mark. Charlie got there. 3 bites. The umpires paid it. Charlie Curnow. He came from nowhere, floated across late, and he's taken it in front of Leicester. Tough one to juggle in the air, but juggle he did. 1, 2, 3, got it. Top of the goal square. Angle won't be a problem. Distance won't be a problem. In fact, I'm going to write it down right now.
I'm just wondering where Payne was. I just can't see him in the picture. He's
Back within 7 points, the Blues. Second goal of the night, first for Curnow. He's got 31 for the season, and he celebrates by putting his hand up and jogging to the bench. He gets halfway there and he gets told no. Turn around and go back he does. Lions lead it by 7, 3-2-20. Carlton 2-1-13.
I think it was Payne who was
blocked out,
but then Curnow had to fight through a block himself. It was really impressive. So he was out of position and he had to fight through someone. Might have been Leicester. And
it's Leicester at the back and Payne in front.
And Payne in front. Good mark. It was made something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Lingy, 8 scoring shots in 11 entrances.
It's a hot
it's healthy,
game, isn't it?
It's healthy, isn't it?
Around.
It's putting some pressure on the back line by both backline players. Backlines, rather.
2-1-13 to 3-2-20. Brisbane by 7 points. 6-6-6 warning against the Blues. No late change at Docklands. Jared Lyons and Matthew Kennedy, the 2 subs. And the restart back in the middle. Brisbane by 7. Doherty first touch. Hand pass to Hollands. Kick smothered. Ricochets to Chincotta. Sweeping hand pass out to Doherty. Kicks inboard. Dangerous. Turns it over. Neil for the Lions. Hand pass to Ashcroft. Floats a kick to centre half forward. Big leap McGovern. Intercept mark and goes immediately. Gives Charlie a chance. 1-on-1. Jack Payne outmarks him. Reaches up to take the intercept mark for Brisbane and immediately swings it wide by foot to McCluggage.
And McCluggage, they want to move this quickly, the Lions. Out further wide, he goes to Dunkley, who marks right in front of the interchange gates. Dunkley's eyes are darting. Just going to stab it and pop it up for Hipwood, but he was caught right in the middle. Wonderful mark by the ruckman floating across in pit net. And he's got it at half back. Blues going to the northern end. He's kicked straight to the wing where Andrews, with those long arms, is able to leap easily and clunk the mark and then centre the kick to Coleman. Coleman on the left pushes it forward, looking for Berry. Did he get a push in the back? The umpire didn't see it. Mick Moldhouse thought it was there. Blues with the turnover. Well, they did, but then it's stolen by Answorth for the Lions. A little give and go with Neil. He's handballed it straight to McCluggage, a player standing still who's tackled by Motlop. Motlop still got him. The umpire's asked the question. Umpires crosses his arms and said it'll be a ball up inside the centre square. Brisbane by 7.
Up it goes. McInerney hooks it down behind. There's a free kick.
Yeah, it was there. He grabbed hold of his arm. Ruckman's got to be able to put your arm up.
Against Pitternet, holding on to McInerney. So deep entry inside the forward arc at the back. Good intercept mark for Kemp. Brodie Kemp, number 17, the 22-year-old in his second game for the year. He goes back to Akers. Marks in front of the behind post. Short kick to McGovern. He's been busy early. Short kick to half-back, finds Ed Curnow. Still in the defensive half, Carlton. This is what they do, the short kick retention game, high uncontested marks. Short to Chera, and Chera swings his kick out wide to Blake Akers.
And that's fine here, Corbs, but the moment they've got an opportunity to break the line, I want to see them go quicker into that forward line when the opportunity presents.
Blues go long down the line on the city wing. Another strong contested mark taken by Silvani. And he gets some afters as well from Starcevic. Silvani with the handball to the player flying by, which is Chincotta, who goes into the pocket, the right forward pocket. No mark there. Curnow was the target. And the Lions should be able to release through McCluggage. The kick out of the defensive 50. Target was Ashcroft. It was spoilt down. Blues can't control it. Lions do. Sharp just picks it up, kicks down the line. Sliding in low was Wiedering. Wiedering with the centering kick to McGovern, who's got it in the bullseye. Sweeping past him at full pace is Sard. Sard on the left. Hits up Hollands. Hollands then into the inside 50. Target was Walsh. Didn't win it in the air. Won it at ground level. Off to Ed Curnow. Big brother, little brother, and a bit of push and shove afterwards. There's feeling in this contest. It's hot on a Friday night. And both the boys, the brothers from Torquay, have hit the scoreboard early. Brisbane with a 1 point lead. Carlton 3-1-19. Hitting back Brisbane 3-2-20.
Mick, both times it was Hollands, went in quick, and on the other side of the ground, Chincotta. And it didn't work perfectly, and Curnow didn't take the mark, and they were able to rebound it. But that intent, moment they can get it to the wing and get a player running past, or you can wheel and go yourself. I love their intent so far tonight to go quick, put that Brisbane defence under some pressure.
So the Curnows with the last two of the game. One for Charlie, one for Ed.
Love the celebration. Typical big brother, little brother coming over who's bigger. Just getting those curls of Ed with his big palm and shaking that hair.
Brisbane by a point, 3-2 to 3-1. Pettinet hooks it down to Walsh to the Blues. Hand pass to Chera, hand pass away to Sard. He feeds it to Hollands. Tackled as he kicks, slides out wide, and Motlop hangs it inside the boundary line. Keeps it alive. Fend off on Coleman. Kicks as he's been tackled down to half forward. Durden misses it, slides through to Silvani. Harris knocks it away, but straight to Cripps. Cripps with the Blues, back to Durden.
Brilliant.
Death kick across the body, and Durden waiting in the corridor, marks it centre half forward, 30 out.
Taken over Carlton in the last 5 minutes.
Most other players there, Mick, blaze away from a big snap from 40, which probably doesn't make the distance, gets punched over the line. That was superb.
Carlton's last Rising Star nominee came back in round 9 last year, so almost 12 months. Kicked a goal in each of his games this year. Durden puts Carlton in front. The Blues have their ends up in quarter number 1. A 5 point lead for Carlton, the first time they've hit the front tonight. Time on in the opening term, 4-1-25 the Baggers. Brisbane 3-2-20. Mick Malthouse, Cameron Ling, Carlton by 5.
Well, it's interesting, last 3 goals, and it's just that intensity around the ball, good ball handling for a start off, good option taken, and get the ball inside the front 50 quickly. Because one of the things about the Lions, they are a very good disciplined side in the air, so you fall in there quickly. In the terms of for Carlton, you then put them, I'm talking about Brisbane here, have to come and meet the play as opposed to sitting back and being able to pick it off. So once you get the back line moving, it starts to work for you.
So McInerney and Pitnet renew hostilities in the ruck. Again, the big O straight down to Ashcroft. Quick hands to Neal. Oh, it's textbook footy in the middle from the lines. High ball goes Neal. Thump from Young away from the pack. Sits for Rayner. He's on his wrong side though. On the left, he wants to get back on the right. His handball really put sharp under the pump. Great tackle. Wonderful tackle by Chera will go rewarded.
What beauty.
It's hot out there at the moment. Lions started really well, red hot. And the Blues in the last 5 or 6 minutes have cranked up the speed dial and said, yep, we're going to go with you. We can even see if we can go better. So the long kick out of the defensive 50. Curnow grabs it and kicks it. And it's out of bounds on the full. So it'll be a free kick for the Brisbane Lions on the city side wing.
Next time my son tells me you don't need to kick on your opposite foot anymore, you just banana it, I'm going to show him that Cam Rayner clip there. He needed a left foot.
Kick down to half forward for Brisbane. Came from Coleman and the intercept mark from Wiedering. Pulls it down in the pack for Carlton. So a lead by 5 points on the back of that Durden goal. Goes short to Akers. Coming off career high numbers, by the way, his last 2 starts, Blake Akers. 36 and 34. A long kick down the wing, and Cripps just wrestles free of Neal and Ashcroft to take the mark on the wing. Pumps Carlton down to half forward. Charlie Curnow runs and jumps at it. Can't complete the mark, outnumbered. Falls down to Andrews. He's tackled. And a ball up half forward for Carlton right on the 50. The SMS number tonight, 0437 774 774, as it always is. Time on opening term, Carlton by 5.
Full house, and the crowd is energised. Here's Chera from the boundary throw, and he picks up the ball. He throws it on his boot. He blazes away, and it goes out of bounds on the full. It bounced and then landed in the 4th row in the right forward pocket at the northern end.
Jack Payne a little bit lucky there on Curnow Lingy. Left the work up for another teammate. The teammate was a little bit shorter. Curnow double grabbed it.
Lions in possession. Andrews short to Dunkley, who goes down the City side wing, over the head of Sharp. Lurking at the back was McGovern, and he bombs it inside 50. Mackay was there, did not claim the mark. He tried to claim the double grabber. It certainly wasn't there, and then he hits the deck and they tackle him. So it'll be a ball up 40 metres out from Brisbane's goal.
13 of the top 14 possession winners on the field are Carlton at the moment.
From Carlton's goal. So McInerney takes the ball out of the air, thumps it on the boot, goes down the City wing. Waiting at the back was Young. A give and go with Pitnet. Almost came off. Wonderful tackle by Hipwood, though. Hipwood just gritted the teeth and could see what Young wanted to do, and he just rode him into the turf. His kick, though, goes awry. And now the Blues can pounce. Couldn't hit a target. Walsh has got it near the boundary line. He's tackled by Dunkley over the boundary.
Can I just go back to that Lewis Young tackle? The tackle on him.
Yep.
Beautiful tackle, well read that the handball receiver is going to take place. Still not holding the ball because there's zero prior opportunity. The ball's jarred free in the tackle. It's play on. Just because it looks like a good tackle doesn't mean you can make the wrong decision.
McInerney and Pitternet from the boundary throw in. Pitternet palms it down. Neil passing through, grabs it. Cripps has got him. Ball comes out in the tackle. Hurried kick forward from Dunkley down the wing. McGovern works his way in front of Bailey, takes the intercept mark. She looked in the corridor and then thought better of it. Trying to kick to Honey, puts it over his head, and Starcevic takes the intercept mark. Brisbane a chance downhill. Looks inboard to Berry, who marks inside the centre of Docklands. Carlton by 5 points. High octane opening term, 25 minutes old. And Berry after the forward 50 fills up, kicks it to the hot spot at chest mark. Somehow standing third in the queue, Zach Bailey hugs it to his chest, and he'll shoot from 25 out straight in front.
You know, being a backline player, the thing you hate most, you've got your man, you're covering, you watch the ball come in, you think your teammate's going to punch that ball clear, and you're going to then crumb it. Goes over the top, they don't touch it, straight into the hands of your opponent.
A long kick inside 50 in a slow play, and a chest mark for, all due respect to Zach Bailey, not the tallest guy on the ground, standing on the turf. Bailey, with an easy conversion, slots it. Returns Brisbane to the front. Kicked the winning goal after the bell against Collingwood, similar spot on the ground a couple of years ago. The Lions lead by a point. We've had 2 lead changes in the opening term. It's Brisbane 4-2, Carlton a 4-1, Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
It really is the midfield, Mick. I know both forward lines actually look dangerous, and I love the way both forward lines are playing. But whichever midfield, one, can win the ball, and then two, can really efficiently move it through there and not give that turnover. They're on top for the portion of this first quarter.
Yeah.
It was just a bad kick inside by McGovern. Turnover. Brisbane had options. Yes, a little bit lucky, but they were probably going to get a goal anyway. They had so many options down there.
Yeah, you're right.
So whichever midfield is in control in a given moment.
So there's a give up, and you've got Rayner gave one up with a hand pass before for a goal. So, yeah, once you've got it, don't give it up.
Bounce in the centre, Pitternet straight down to Cripps, who whirls around and high up and under. Hewitt does well just to slap it down in the Walsh direction. He was tackled, affects the handball, swatted away from Coleman. Off to Dunkley on the City side wing. He kicks to a one-on-one. It's Cameron and it's Newman. Charlie Cameron with the go-to match-up there. Newman's got him. They both go without it. Trying to clear it was Kemp. Kemp, though, made a meal of it. Here's Rayner. He's got it 55 out. He grubbers the kick. Newman. And they share it around Ed Curnow, handballing backwards. This is Kemp. Little fake and then puts it on his left. It was an ordinary little looking kick, and Leicester is able to steal it, gobbles it up. So Leicester's going to send it inside 50. He goes deep into that left forward pocket. Big spoil from Young, only as far down as Charlie Curnow, who's tackled by Bailey. And the umpire says it'll be a ball up. Ed Curnow, rather, it was that grabbed it and tackled by Bailey.
Lions by a point, approaching quarter time. McInerney knocks it away close to the boundary line. Neil tries to keep it alive, taps it inboard, but straight to Chincotta for the Blues. 1-2 hand pass with Hewitt, hurried kick out of 50. Dunkley trying to take the sprawling mark, spills it last moment. Hand pass back to Coleman, 60 out, high bomb into the forward pocket. Hipwood arriving late. I think he touched it out of play, he did, so we'll have a boundary throw in.
Well, it's a lot of heat being applied by the Brisbane forward line, which is good to see. They haven't been renowned for it recently, so this is a turning point as far as I'm concerned.
Wiedering, Young, Kemp, they're all under the pump, aren't they, Mick?
They certainly are.
These Blues defenders. Boundary throw in, deep inside the forward 50. McInerney behind his head. It was, and then charging through McCluggage. He had to go at it again. Quick little hands. Answorth in there to Dunkley. Off to Lester, who runs forward. His eyes light up, but he can't gobble up the goal. He had time to steady, put it on his right. 40 metres out on the slidey shangle, and he pushes it across the face. So 4-3 Brisbane, 4-1 Carlton. And 3 minutes to play in this first quarter. Highly entertaining quarter of football.
Newman on the exiting kick out, finds Akers at half-back, runs, carries, long driving kick to Mackay in a one-on-one. Harris Andrews spoils, down towards Durden, the Blues. Hand pass looking for Mackay, missed him. Still alive footy on that City wing. Neil picks it up for Brisbane. Hand pass to Coleman, kept it alive. Hurried handball to Berry. Tackled by Akers. Says play on. Akers goes back, tracks the Sharon, collects at half-back, rolls back onto his right boot, kicks down the wing for Carlton, turns it over. Touched on the way through. Neil's got to go. Hand pass to Wilmot, hand pass to Berry, feeds it all the way back to Andrews. And he retreats with the kick to the back flank, and Leicester has it for Brisbane. The Lions by a couple of points, half-hour mark opening term.
They're on here if they can get it to this side quick and go. Joe Danaher long down the line.
Slow and steady switch instead. It was Payne and Starcevic still in that D50. Oh, now he's under the pump. It's a wobbly kick. Awkward half volley was picked up by Dunkley to McCluggage. He spins defensive side of the dockside wing, a high up and under. And they've coughed it up. They really didn't know what to do in that situation, the Lions. And marking is Chincotta, kicking backwards to Young. He's got it on the back edge of the centre square, and then he flares it wider still to Wiedering. Got it just a step or two in from the boundary at half-back.
As good as they've been, Carlton, their field kicking's a bit scrappy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's missing 2 or 3 metres. There's
there we
another
go.
one.
That's another one. Just really low for Doherty. Couldn't get it up at the bootlaces. Neil steals it, takes off to Danaher. Standing start from 55, 60 metres out, right in the goal square. Marked by Charlie Cameron, spins and goals. And Charlie says, thank you very much. That's the best service I will ever receive.
Great kick. It's a good call, Cal. That kick
off one step
on the plate, wasn't it? Just over the head of the defender. What would have gone? 55 metres, 57 metres. Just beautifully done. The good thing is players know the strength of their teammate, so he was able. Didn't have to come at him. Just got in behind his opponent.
Standing start, wasn't it? Like just one step, Lingy. Incredible. It really does go like a rocket when it hits that left boot of Joe Danaher. And now the Lions back out by 8 points. 5-3-33 Carlton, 4-1-25. And the momentum just continues to shift in this contest with a minute to play before quarter time.
Turnovers are the one.
That call you made, that was a turnover goal.
Yep.
It's just a poor kick, poor field kick.
Carlton.
Yeah, it is.
Lions by 8 points. They did lead by as many as 14 earlier in the game before Carlton kicked 3 in a row to hit the front themselves. Busy opening quarter, back in the middle. Cripps is just sitting there in the grasp of McCluggage in the tackle, essentially appealing for being held without it. Not buying it. And Hewitt's caught by McInerney. So we'll have a ball up alongside the centre circles. Brisbane by 8. The Big O wins it down. McCluggage squeezes a kick away straight to Sard. Pumps it back in the other direction for Carlton. Wilmot spoils through to the bootlaces of Coleman. Can't collect. Ed Kerno sockers it to Mackay. Courageous mark. Running back into traffic. Gunston in the other direction. Never took his eyes off it. And Mackay hugs it to his chest in the right forward pocket for Carlton.
You know, Gunston's not the right person to be behind the ball. I think Brisbane will have to learn from that one.
Mackay finishes his work, hooks it across the body for a goal, and brings Carlton back within a straight kick. The courageous mark back with the flight, and the goal to cap it off. 5-3 to 5-1. 33 gone opening term. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
The Carlton bench were just trying to get to Harry Mackay. I think everyone in the stadium knew that he was going to play on then, but the siren is not far away from going, so everyone on the Carlton bench were up trying to get him to take the set shot. He didn't listen to anything and just still ran around onto the left boot, but still got it through the big sticks finally. 21
seconds to play before that siren sounded to mark quarter time, Hodgie. So Brisbane 5-3-33, Carlton 5-1-31. as the Brisbane Lions coaching staff make their way down through the crowd on level 1 and along the boundary line, ready to go out and address their team. Brisbane by 2 points. In the centre, Neil's got eyes for it, flicks the handball to Gunston, back to McCluggage, high on the left. It's going to land still inside the centre square. Or almost a chance there, but unable to take it was Lincoln McCarthy. McCluggage still. McInerney, can they get a mark inside 50 here late? No, they can't. It was a great mark in the end, one-on-one. Brodie Kemp, who outmarked his opponent in Hipwood. And the siren sounds to end the first quarter here of round 8. This is why we love a closed roof, Tuzzy. Bring on that closed roof, because it's been raining and drizzling and miserable all day in Melbourne. A true winter Friday, but perfect conditions, and we have had a shootout to watch. It's exciting, it's fast, and it's the Lions by 2 points. 5-3-33, Carlton 5-1-31, 10 goals in a quarter. So much to like. And we can't really separate them at the first break, Corby.
The goal kickers, Cal Link McCarthy kicked the first of the game. One for Danaher, Gunston, Charlie Cameron and Eric Hipwood. While for Carlton, Harry Mackay kicked the last. One for Doherty, Durden, Charlie Curnow and Ed Curnow. So we've got a couple of Curnows, a couple of Charlies to keep us honest throughout the night. Tim Hodges on the boundary. Hodgie.
Corbin, that's just the most ferocious first quarter of footy I've seen this year from the boundary, at least. Just the ball pinging around as fast as it did. And then you look at the players right now. It was a long quarter, 33 minutes plus. And the exhaustion out there, this is going to be a story of who is the fittest out of these two teams, because the fittest team will get this win. Some of the midfielders at the moment, like you can see them, hands on knees, squatting on the ground like they are completely cooked after one term of footy. So, yeah, just an awesome stage, an awesome atmosphere, and what a game of footy we've seen in that first term.
Brisbane had it out by 14 points at the 10-minute mark of that quarter. Carlton kicked the next 3 to hit the front. Brisbane wrestling it back in time on in that opening term. A hell of a start, 5-3 to 5-1. Brisbane by a couple of points. Off the SMS, Robin Montmorency. Silvani good so far at both ends. Surprised he's not doing more of the ruck work, but that seems to tire him out too much. From Max, observation on Jesse Motlop's tackle, that he's learnt his lesson with a dangerous tackle, obviously being suspended a couple of weeks ago, returns tonight, brought his opponent down with the utmost care, and that's what we want to see from the players. And from Rory in Reservoir, who's one of our most loyal listeners, he's a blind listener, love your commentary and the ABC Listen app. If I can't get the game I want on local radio, my phone is connected to ABC Sport, so he's sort of doing the plug for me, and you can even vouch for that, Lingy.
Yes, it's there. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate your support.
Genuine text message. It almost sounds like a promo for the ABC Listen app, but appreciate your contribution. We're also on ABC Radio, News Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Why get your news from the ABC News app?
Well, it's part of my daily routine.
I check it on my phone when I stop for a break.
I can focus on local, national, or world news. It's my choice.
I get an alert when something new comes in.
Love the live blogs. Follow them all day.
There's more than just headline stories, you know.
It's news that makes a difference.
Why do I get my news from the ABC News app?
I trust it.
I trust ABC News Online.
And it's free.
It's free.
For free news you can trust, download the ABC News app. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Kick out to Akers, who runs into a cul-de-sac, gives it to McGovern, hand pass to Weeder, and his kicks a turnover. Brisbane headed back inside 50, Berry to the top of the goal square, spills down to Hipwood, hand pass to McCarthy, goal. Pops it through here from the top of the goal square, and the Lions kick the first of the night.
Rayner. Oh, Drew the defender. Saad just stole it right out of his hands. It was brilliant. And he hoofs it to a 2-on-2. It's Charlie v Silvani. Silvani gets the shepherd away and the snap from Doherty. Sam Doherty in his 150th. Brilliant by the Blues.
Curnow hooks a kick out to the wing. Chin Cotter, Compton unkind bounce, bursting onto it. Starcevic grabs it for Brisbane. Hand pass to Joey Danaher. 60 metres out. Kicks a rocket all the way home.
Really low for Doherty. Couldn't get it up at the bootlaces. Neil steals it. Takes off to Danaher. Standing start from 55, 60 metres out. Right in the goal square. Marked by Charlie Cameron. Spins and goals.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
0437 774 774, the SMS number if you want to get in touch with us. This is Grandstand AFL Friday night footy to open round 8, and it's the Brisbane Lions by a couple of points over Carlton. Corbin Middlemass and Kelly Underwood calling the footy. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. A premiership captain, three-time premiership player Cameron Ling, and the man who's coached more games in VFL AFL football than anyone else, Mick Malthouse, with you on Grandstand AFL.
Good start.
Good start. Sharp start from both teams.
Round 8, Lingy. Round 8, you're just about now seeing the taller players start to come into the game. I know Curnow, they'll say, oh, no, hang on, Curnow started off like that, but, you know, Hawkins and these players, they need 3 or 4 weeks, and this is now when they start to consolidate. Their strength comes out, their marking power. Payne's done pretty well on Curnow thus far, although I reckon he was lucky on 2 occasions where he allowed Curnow to take front spot and a smaller player was able to spoil. But the midfield is interesting. You're the one that said it correctly about Lockie Neal. If he's covered, then who else steps up? Well, the stats, if I can just say, the one significant stat in Carlton's favour is contested footy. They are really slaughtering Brisbane in contested footy. But outside of that, Brisbane have probably got them on the outside a bit. There's not much indifference as far as the overall stats go, but the 3 points is significant, or the 2 points is significant, because I reckon that probably Brisbane were, if you looked at they're both 55%, I'd go 53 to 55%, they've controlled the game. Carlton down to 47, 48. Now, you might say, well, that's not much, but it's a difference of about 8 or 9% when it's all said and done, or 5 or 6%. And that's significant. And that if you roll that into a game, I know there's only 2 points in it, and that could be, you might kick 3 goals, they only kick, Brisbane only kick 1 goal. So
I love a lot of what Carlton's doing there.
Yeah.
I do look at that Carlton back line. You have a look at it there right now. Young, Kemp, Chincotta, is it Mitch McGovern?
Yep.
I reckon they've been shaky by foot coming out there.
Well,
Brisbane are sweating on those turnovers and going to make them pay a little bit more for that bad kicking at times.
Yeah, Sard gets run and depth. That's about it, though.
Brisbane by 2 points, second term underway. Pitternet goes at it in the middle, spills down towards Doherty, hand pass away to Chera, feeds a hand pass to Chincotta, so Blues get it out of the centre square. Another 1-2 with Chincotta as he kicks down to half forward. Mackay in the pack, Payne thumps it away, still at half forward for Carlton. Walsh trying to keep it alive, he's out of room. And the ball's out of play. We'll have a throw in half forward flank for Carlton. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. Hodgie.
Just an interesting observation. Patrick Cripps, the Carlton skipper, starting on the pine in this second term.
It's all about the rotation, though. Just puts a bit of pressure back on Brisbane when they put their, say, a lesser light on.
So spinning ball back into play, 60 metres around from the Blues goal. Real packed forms, and eventually McCluggage is down, doesn't it? It'll be another stoppage.
So average sports goal like me probably thinks he's just had a break. Why does he need to start on the bench at the start of the second term?
It's all to do with rotations. You've got to get your numbers right. I'm not saying that you start your captain off, but it falls that way. Now, he's probably already standing up ready to come on for someone to come off, just so you can actually have your balance through your midfield.
Okay, now we've got a ball up, 60 out, same spot. McInerney, stolen by Walsh. Handballs to Chera, throws it on the boot. Big pack forms, flying was Harry. He was the target. Starcevic is tackled. Wonderful tackle by Jesse Motlop, but
had it for a long time, Kel.
He did. It'll be a ball up. So this time we're 30 metres out directly in front of the Blues goal. Poor old Jack Silvani's in the ruck trying to outmuscle McInerney, who tosses him side like a rag doll, and then somehow Chera gets it. And he's tackled on the turf. It pops out to McInerney. Quick hands to McCluggage. His kick goes wide. Charlie Cameron across half-back, almost outmarks Sard. He regathers. He kicks down the line. Wiedering with the spoil. Fists it. Young tries to keep it in play on the City side wing, but he can't. So this time a boundary throw-in. So after an electrifying opening term that saw 10 goals, we're slow and steady, easing our way into the second term.
Pitternet and McInerney both standing there with their arms out and eventually lock up for the boundary throw-in. Pitternet knocks it down in front of Doherty passing through along with Neal, and pack forms behind him, and the umpire says, I'll have it, as Hollins comes in to lay a big crunching tackle, and McCluggage is held up.
They dropped the Neal tag with Hewitt.
I think they had to, because he had the clearances through the middle
Hewitt's starting points were all over the shop.
Hitting it down to Hollands, kicks forward, but Coleman takes the intercept mark, looks in the middle of the ground for Ainsworth. He's tackled high. The Carlton fans ain't happy with that. Noah Ainsworth.
I'd say it was ducking as well.
And he kicks out wide for Dunkley, standing right on the boundary line, City side. Short kick to Hipwood, who hits up and marks. Between wing and half forward. Brisbane to the northern end or the Lockett end of the ground. In his second term, he spears a kick into the pocket. Last one in the queue. Gunston throws his boot at it to the top of the goal square. Blues with the numbers back. Akers by hand to Silvani to Kemp. Hand pass to McGovern. Under pressure. Hand pass back to Silvani. He's in strife. He's coughed it up. Charlie Cameron's got it. Holding the ball to call. Free kick for Brisbane. 15 out from goal. And Silvani, as soon as he was caught in the tackle, wanted to let the Sharon go. And the ump said, you can't do that.
I'm not sold on that free kick there. That dislodged on the tackle, and it dislodged as soon as he took the ball. Then it sort of fell back near him. No, I'm not convinced about that.
Cameron gets the gift, hooks through his second. Brisbane with the first of the second term. They restore an 8-point lead. They've led for much of the night. 6-3-39, Carlton 5-1-31. 4 gone, second term, grandstand AFL.
My biggest head scratcher of that, though, Mick, was why one of the Carlton defenders didn't choose to just kick the ball.
Ball out, yeah.
You've got the run of 2 or 3 and away, but you're heading almost backwards, hard towards the boundary. Brisbane are coming. Just kick it to the guy out here, 60 out from goal, and create a contest.
Exactly. And the other thing is, too, Lingy, about that, there's no sin if the umpire wants to, if it bounces out and the umpire says it's deliberate, because you've got some method then of getting your numbers there.
Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Kel, Mick can talk about rotations all he likes. Patrick Cripps spent 4 minutes kicking the grass here on the bench. He didn't want to start on the bench at all, and he tried to get everyone's attention to come off to get him back on. Finally, he got Adam Chera to look over and run off, and he's back out there in the middle.
Thanks, Hodgie.
Yeah, thank you, Hodgie. That's good.
Back underway in the centre. The Blues win it, and they're kicking down the line here to Motlop, who's leaping up over the top of Starcevic. Couldn't take the grab. Sharp put his body on the line, and it was a sharp couple of tackles from the Blues players in Silvani and also Motlop.
I like it when Hodgie gives a little bit back to Mick. Just after Mick's flipped him so often about how soft he is.
But he always does it when he's on the boundary. Mick's upstairs.
He comes in like a pussycat when he comes in.
I haven't seen him do it face to face yet. Sharp with a kick right in front of those interchange gates, the Blues bench. Oh, deliberate, okay. He was in a pack, he threw it on the right boot, it bounced and went over right in front of the Blues bench, and the umpire says deliberate.
I think it was
just the roof was off for about 5 minutes, so Hodgie can get to tell us about the weather.
Young with the kick. Goes towards Harry, hits his fingernails, bounces off. Newell pounces. Andrews, Bailey, not sure why he was trying to volleyball slap that forward. And McCarthy comes in with a hip and shoulder on Akers, bumps him off the ball. And then they hold it in for a jump ball. So it'll be a ball up. Commentary box side or dock side. We sit up here in level 3. Great advantage is it's right in front of us. The ball up. McInerney, Ashcroft, Sharp, quick hands. Starcevic is involved. In fact, it was McCarthy, Danaher, Bailey, right up against the boundary line, puts it on the outside of that left boot. Doesn't quite get the distance.
Oh, please someone teach them the rules.
Hollands grabbed it in that back pocket, thought he could run away with it, and it was Hipwood that got the tackle and plays on quickly to Gunston.
You are allowed to rush the football through when you're under pressure that close to the goal line.
So you're saying Hollands didn't know it?
Well, and Sard, all of them.
Yeah.
Just take it through.
Just take it through.
Because you got the ball, you get the ball back.
So the quick play has ended up with the yellow Sharon in the hands of the premiership star from Hawthorn, Jack Gunston. The veteran sharpshooter, 45-degree angle out, hits the post. Clatters into that giant left goal post. 6-4-40 Brisbane, 5-1-31. Carlton.
9-point lead for Brisbane. No late change tonight. Matt Kennedy and Jared Lyons, 2 subs. So Zach Fisher left out the Carlton team. He's played the last 35 games, which is the longest continuous streak of any Carlton player, but The streak comes to an end tonight as McGovern brings it into Sard. Short kick, they don't know where they're going here, Carlton. Hand pass from Sard, away to Young, back to McGovern, hand pass to Kemp, and eventually they work it out at the defensive arc to Mackay. Marks at half back, looks in the middle for Hewitt. Now they can go, Carlton. Hand pass to Sard, kicks in hope out to half forward. Charlie Curnow runs after it. Kind bounce for Akers, breaks the sharp tackle, kicks back in the corridor, and Andrews takes an easy intercept mark. Centre half back for Brisbane. They can immediately pull the trigger in transition out to Gunston, Mark's defensive side of the City wing.
So another foray forward, and they're going in a flurry. They come back inboard looking for Hipwood. He got down low, it spills off his chest. Here's Motlop, almost caught. Handball off to Ed Curnow. Back to Hollins. Can he break a tackle of Gunston? He can't. But he gets the handball away. Into space, inside 50. Mopped up by Answorth. Handball out wide. Andrews, tackled by Charlie Curnow to the turf. And the umpire says it'll be a ball up. Listen to those Blues fans in the background. When Charlie Curnow gobbled up Harris Andrews, there's a couple of All-Australians on the boundary. Tim Hodges.
Just keeping an eye on Sam Walsh and Brandon Starcevich went for it after that passage of play. They were right into it for about 20 seconds.
For the restart, Honey close to the boundary line, tried to take on the tackler, is caught. Free kick Brisbane, back pocket. Keep going, Hodgie.
Who won by points? Timmy?
Probably Starcevich just.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Coleman back to the defensive goal square for McKenna. And he'll spear his kick to Answorth, who marks half back. So another just sort of casual football observer watching with two greats of the game. If you have two of the best contested marks in the competition in Mackay and Curnow, why don't they just go long as much as they can and give them half a chance in a one-on-one scenario?
It's a very good
only if you get one-on-one. If you get one-on-one. If you get one-on-one, don't forget the defender wins if he punches it clear.
And you can't just put it on his head. It's got to be to their advantage, Corbs, as best as possible. But no, fair question though. I'm asking that occasionally too right now.
Ball up on the wing, comes Brisbane's way. Bailey through traffic, hand pass away to Dunkley, floats a high bomb to half forward. Sard crashes the pack. Live footy here for Brisbane. Gunston sockers it inside 50. Young tries to get it out. His kick smothered, spills to Hipwood, still in Brisbane's hands, 30 out. Gunston shakes one tackle, caught the second time by Doherty, holding the ball. Free kick for Carlton in the back pocket. And Sam Doherty in game 150 will get it. It's Brisbane by 9 points, 10 gone second term.
Gee, great save, because Brisbane had the numbers inside their forward line. They'd worked hard to get back there.
Yeah.
Looked like a certain goal.
So helter-skelter start to this second term. We've gone 10 minutes just for one goal, and that goes the way of the Brisbane Lions after 10 were booted in the first term. Brisbane by 9 points. The kick from Doherty in the back pocket went to the pack close to the boundary line on the City side. Off hands for a throw-in.
You can tell the side's under the most pressure. It's Carlton, 11-24 at the moment. 11 kicks, 24 hand passes. They're the ones that are under the most pressure.
Twirling ball. McInerney went at it with his foot, and he's kicked it out of the air towards Cripps, who wins a free kick against Lockie Neal, the two number 9s. Cripps goes short to Doherty. Inside the centre square, where he's got his teammate Chincotta. Kicks from one side of the ground to the other. Here's a chance for Akers. Got it in front of the benches. Puts it out in front of Mackay. Too wide, in fact. Out of bounds on the full. And Akers drops his head and runs 5 metres towards the bench, where he comes off and Silvani comes on. Brisbane Lions have possession of the ball. They lead it by 9 points.
That's the other thing you got to do, Corbs. When you're going to kick it to them, you got to make sure you don't kick it out on the full.
Yes. Sharp receives a short kick and goes long down the wing, but turns it over. McGovern marks, pulls the trigger back inboard, out of corridor. Walsh marks, he kicks it straight back to Brisbane. Berry takes the intercept mark. So a few errors here after a high-octane opening term with 10 goals kicked. Just the one in the quarter so far. Short to Rayner. A long kick to the hot spot. Punched away by Wiedering. Into the lap of Bailey. Tackled by Newman. Ball comes out. Newman keeps his feet, wins it. Hand pass for Carlton out to Durden. A little fumble. Now he's under the pump. Hand pass away to Newman, and they work it out through traffic. Hewitt, hand pass to Silvani.
Silvani keeps it low for Mackay. Really makes him work. Oh, he's copped one high. Might have copped it too high. Harry to the head. He's a little dazed behind play. Might have been friendly fire, the second one. Meanwhile, they just pounce on the ball. It'll be a ball up right in front of the Brisbane Lions bench. But Harry Mackay's in a nasty way. He's got the, they were out to end the trainers. He's got the towel up to the head, a bit of blood. And he's coming from the ground right in front of Tim Hodges. Hodgie.
Yeah, that split him open right above the right eye. And just the way the doctors got hold of him, I hope he doesn't have to have a concussion test, but they may have to check him at least. But that might need stitches as well above the right eye.
Ball up dockside wing. McInerney wins it easily in the air, but straight down to Sam Walsh, who gives it to Akers, to Chera. They're going backwards by hand here, the Blues. Kemp eventually says, I'm going to kick it, and he kicks it from one side to the other of the defensive 50, where Hollands, the youngsters, got it. So this time they go around the city side, onto a one-on-one. Great spoil from behind was from Leicester. It's mopped up by the Brisbane Lions. The quick kick finds Danaher. He is inside the centre square. He is loading up to the goal square. One-on-one. It hits Charlie Cameron in the back of the head. And then it's rushed through for a behind. It was Wiedering in a tussle with Charlie Cameron. And it just bonks him, and Charlie looks up to Joe Danaher as if to say, what are you doing? Aiming for my head. Come on, I want better silver service delivery than that. Brisbane by 10.
Louis Chera goes on a run out of the defensive 50, kicks up to Silvani, makes a contest, spills down to Doherty. He immediately pulls the trigger back inboard. So clear strategy for Carlton up to that outer corridor, and now on the wing, Starcevic grabs it. Motlop's got him immediately, so a ball up on the wing. We've seen them increasingly do that more and more off the back flank. Carlton come out wide and then try and get an entry back through the corridor from the restart. Neal, hand pass out in front of Berry. Big tackle here on Doherty, ball up in the middle of the ground.
Any update on Big Harry down there, Tim?
Yeah, it's not a good one. The doctors looked at the replay and they've taken him down into the room, so they'll have to patch up that right eye, but I think he'll be having a concussion test, Big Harry.
Walsh at the coalface, hand pass to Doherty, high up and under to centre half forward for Carlton. McCluggage grabs it, and he's tackled in the process by Honey, and a pack forms underneath the pair of them. Ball up, 55 out from the Carlton goal. It's the Lions by 10 points, 6-5 to 5-1, 15 played in the second.
Quick hurried kick out of that stoppage, and it's picked off by Wiedering. He's got it right on the edge of that centre square, across half-back from one side to the other. The switch is on. This is Newman.
Wiedering, he's just such a cool player under pressure.
Newman stabs the pass, and the kick hits up his teammate in Kemp, who's marked uncontested at centre half-back. Newman peeling around his back. Kemp ignores him. Runs sideways into Mines, gets around one. Handball puts his teammate Young under pressure, who just kicks quickly. Harris Andrews is there, couldn't gather it. Coming in and helping out, though, was his teammate, who handballed straight over the boundary line in Dunkley. And Dunkley's been pinged for holding, for a deliberate out of bounds, which means Akers is going to pop up. He's got it at half forward. He's looking for where's Curnow. There's no Mackay out there. Curnow's voice to spoil. Down to the Cripps. Cripps to Hollands. Banana is a blazing banana. It is well offline. And it lands about 10 rows back, missing everything out of bounds on the full.
Lingy, there's your son again.
Get it
Left
opposite foot.
Left
left foot.
Well, you go left foot there. There was no one on his left side. He has free rein.
6 of the last 7 scoring shots for Brisbane in the game. Starcevic goes back to Payne in the defensive arc. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
It was really interesting there, Corbin. I think one of the doctors has taken Harry Mackay down to fix his right eye, and the other one you can see is watching the vision just to check on what they should be doing with a concussion test. So, yeah, I think it's a really difficult few minutes and pivotal few minutes for Harry Mackay's future in this game.
Thanks, Hodgie. Keep us updated. Free kick for Brisbane on the wing. Dunkley to Berry. Now kicks inside to McCluggage. He switches from one side of the centre square to the other. Out to Ainsworth for Brisbane. Short kick to centre half forward. Spilling it is McKenna. Knocks it away to Ainsworth. He pops Brisbane inside 50. Sharp runs onto it. Hands it to Neal. Turns, snaps goal when he's offline. Spoiled on the goal line once, twice. And in the end, Wiedering kills it through for a rush behind. So 7 of the last 8 scores in the game have gone Brisbane's way. The Lions by 11. 17 gone in this second term.
On the kick-in duties for the Blues down there is McGovern. Kicks as long as he can. Curnow got his arms to it, and then it's Seen by Akers over the boundary line, so it'll be tossed back in half forward for Brisbane.
Carlton will do well just to get through this next little patch, Mick, because they've lost all their balance across the ground where they've got their players. They've got players flooding back but doing nothing. Brisbane are controlling. They're not using the ball well. They don't have good targets at the moment.
17 minutes gone in this second term, just one goal. Waiting at the back of the stoppage as it came back inboard was Berry, who gets it off to his teammate, goes long, does Wilmot into the forward pocket. Hipwood's there. Hipwood's forced to tackle, and he tackles Young. Stays in. It'll be a ball up right forward pocket, 15 metres around from Brisbane's goal.
They're all over them, the Lions.
They just lost their structure, haven't they, Carl?
Everything, yeah.
Tossed up. Bigo tries to get it to McCluggage, who just tries to bury it and get closer and closer. He creeps to goal before he's tackled on the turf on the edge of that centre, on the edge of the goal square.
They're simply trying to hold on right now.
But they're not getting damaged by the scoreboard, which is handy for them.
Flick to the top of the goal square where Young was there to spoil, but the quick handball comes out to Dunkley. Dunkley snap. Misses.
Yeah, well, that is a real gift.
That is a gift.
Beautifully played by... No, bad play by Carlton. They had no one sitting outside. They had inner and no outer and almost played a penalty, but they'll hang in there if Brisbane keep kicking points. There's no question.
Brisbane by 12. They've kicked 8 of the last 9 scores in the game as Carlton through Akers kick it up with a wing, but Silvani out-positioned by Andrews, or more favoured by the kick. He goes short to Sharp, and Sharp hits up Dunkley. So he gets a chance to make up for his previous miss. He marks it right half forward, 48-47 out.
So that's what I'm talking about, Mick. I reckon there was
all
8
back.
Carlton players just all sitting back doing nothing.
Yeah. Oh, here you go, Lingy, right on cue as Dunkley pokes it into the pocket, and Hugh McCluggage unchecked against the boundary line, and Hugh can have a shot here, tight angle up against the fence, 20 out.
Well, Dunkley was never going to make it, and he's kicked to McCluggage, who's one of the worst shots on goal. So, and he's put him on an angle that makes it even worse. So, by definition, 2-0s might end up being a plus here. Is that mathematically possible?
He's 1 goal 3 on the season, but as you said, it's not his strong suit in the pass. He's going to drop it in short for Gunston.
That's embarrassing from Carlton.
That's trademarks inside 50 in a row.
They're all turning around to each other, having a go at each other. There are just players there going, I'm back here, I'm guarding where I'm supposed to be. Well, you're doing absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Gunston hooks it across the body, makes it look like a drill. And Brisbane lead by 18 points, a new game high. A couple for Gunston. The line 7-7-49. Carlton a 5-1, 31. 9 of the last 10 scores in the game have gone to Brisbane. We're at the 20-minute mark of the second term.
Yeah. Mick, you and I spent a lot of time pre-game talking about on-field leadership, fixing up things when it's shifted really badly to the opposition. That's now for Carlton.
Oh, it is.
And it has been for the last 4 or 5 minutes. But finding out and working out what's gone wrong structurally on the field and getting it fixed, now you've got a moment to communicate with each other. They must fix it up. Otherwise, this scoreboard will get out of hand before half-time.
I reckon Doherty's got to go behind the ball as a half-back and become that leader behind the ball, because there's no one behind the ball leading. You see that how many times marks have been taken by Brisbane inside the front 50 when it's a stationary ball. So, I mean, that should never happen.
Brisbane by 18, the Blues scoreless in this 20 minutes of the second term. Chera takes it out of the centre. His kick, though, was smothered. A tug of the jumper was illegal against Bailey as he got the kick away. So Chera's got it on the edge of the centre circle.
It's got to be.
It's got to be 50.
Well, he's run through it.
Two Brisbane Lions players have run within 5 metres of him. He's gone straight down the throat. Charlie Curnow got his hands to it. And now Ed Curnow. It's picked up by Berry. Berry goes up and down the chimney it goes. Right on the spot. Walsh is there. Just plucks it up off the deck. Throws it on the boot. Eyes on it is Andrews. Oh, it dropped it. He dropped it cold, and Charlie pounced, and Curnow with the soccer tried to dribble it through from the boundary. Couldn't quite pull off the miracle goal.
And can I clarify the 50 really quickly? Where a player is forced to split to the other side, that's no longer 50 within the protected zone. But that doesn't mean you can still run between the player with the ball and the man on the mark, through the mark. That has to be 50.
If you go through with your man, the second one, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
That was 50 every day of the week. That's the very essence of the 50. Not complicating the play.
McKenna short to Ashcroft at half-back. Took a while. The youngest man on the ground. He kicks it straight into the man on the mark, Silvani. Ball ricochets out of play. Half forward for the Lions. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
This is some good news for the Blues. Harry Mackay back from the rooms. A couple of stitches in that right eye. He's going to have some sort of shiner by the end of this game, but he looks to be ready to come back onto the field, which is huge for the Blues.
Absolutely. He looked a little staggered after that incident earlier, but that's big in the context of the game.
Well, once it bleeds and they stitch it up, it's very rare that you have any swelling or anything. The blood's already gone.
Another ball up. From the boundary throw-in, we had a ball up, and now we'll do it all again. So third stoppage, same area of the ground. We're not going anywhere fast here. Hollands is tackled. Hugo trying to clear that. Cal, 60 metres out from the Carlton goal. A ball up. Brisbane by 17 as we tick towards half-time.
5-1 they were at quarter time, currently 5-2, 23 gone in this second term, and the Blues trail by 17 points. Finally a clearing kick, although a Brisbane Lions player went down behind play. Across half forward, this is a chance for Coleman. Coleman in the blue boots, the flashy blue boots, he's kicked that directly. Tried to soccer that straight for the boundary line. That was as deliberate as anything. And Akers will take the free.
And you know what, Kel? It's great. I reckon he's an improved player. That's done no damage to this side here.
Akers, also a strategic free kick towards the direction of Charlie Curnow. Andrews rises high, off his hands, hurried kick from the Blues, bounces in that right forward pocket and goes out, and then all the Blues fans are going, hang on.
I'll tell you what, Kel, when you come back as a forward. You get every right, the poor backline player.
Deep inside 50 here for the Blues. It's a boundary throw-in. Curnow forced to go in the ruck against Danaher. You don't see that too much often. And Akers has got it. Gives it off to Chera. Chera kicks to the top of the goal square. It's fisted down by Andrews. Trying to keep it in play as Durden, but he can't. Got Coleman for company.
He'll
reset and go again.
He's a really steady player, Coleman. Plays tight. Knows the game. Takes his man.
Kitty Coleman. Speed out of defence. Eye-catchingly good tonight, according to Mick Moldhouse. Toss back in. Charlie Curnow. Sam Walsh tackled to the ground. Handballs over his head. Charlie Curnow tried something impossible, but there's Brisbane Lions defenders everywhere. And again, they force a boundary throw-in. Creeping closer to the Blues goal. They need a major desperately in this second term, trailing by 17 points.
Carlton got two extras behind the ball, which is interesting.
Boundary throw-in. Ball spills through to Andrews after the rucks both miss it. Squeeze the kick to half-back. McCarthy flies, no mark. Falls to McCluggage. Tackled, dispossessed, holding the ball. Free kick Carlton at half-forward, and it's going to be Alex Chincotta who's going to get it.
No, it's fair. He had an opportunity to hand pass as soon as he got it, and just took the half step, and that's enough in today's football.
Definite free kick.
Yeah, incorrect disposal.
Brisbane Lions, I've just noticed, they're trying to get Connor McKenna to come off the ground. Hodgie, keep an eye on this when it happens. We saw a replay before. McKenna was the one who you called down a little bit earlier. Hit his head on the ground. I reckon they'll do a head injury assessment on him as soon as they can get him to the bench.
Chincotta out of Carlton's VFL. Feel-good story. The 26-year-old not on a list in the pre-season. He's looking for his first goal in the big time. He misses. Out to the right, the behind. Brisbane's lead cut to 16. 26 gone second turn.
Coleman's got it in the defensive goal square, short to Danaher. Playing in the ruck while McInerney takes a breather on the bench. In the back pocket. On that long left boot. Round he goes the city side. Off hands, it's all Blues. Ed Curnow. Chera. Oh, Chincotta's caught. Didn't hear the footsteps of Lincoln McCarthy come, and now it's a 50-50 ball. Chera goes in hard again. Slapped down by the Brisbane Lions. Chincotta gets it. Makes amends. Goes long. Motlop in a one-on-one. Couldn't quite do it. Here's a chance for Charlie Curnow. He's got to beat three. Off to Jesse Motlop. It's a goal. Charlie Curnow. Muscles on his muscles. Three tried to bring him down. He got his hands free. Handball off to Jesse Motlop on the outside of the boot. Top of the goal square. Bang. There's the goal they needed. Brisbane by 10 points. 7-7-49. Carlton 6-3-39 with 2 minutes to play before half-time.
Yeah, it's taken a long time, but they've hung in there, Lingy, without being overly hurt by the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And they've just hung in there enough. That was almost inevitable. Carlton have dominated the last 4 or 5 minutes. Again, we took our structures. I thought that Brisbane started to lose their structure a little bit there. They had Carlton had extra two players outside the front 50, so therefore Brisbane had them inside the back 50. So if the ball come out, Carlton were going to push it back regardless. So I think they played a penalty for not trusting their back line in midfield.
So Jesse Motlop, suspended last week, comes straight back in, and a goal here in the second term to get the Blues within 10 from the restart. Hollands off the wing, grabs the footies, taken high, free kick for Carlton, late whistle, advantage applied. Hewitt marks on the wing, sweeping hand pass down to Chera, 70 out, feeds a hand pass further forward to Durden, short kick to Mackay. Back on the ground after that early clash in which he had a bit of claret and busted open above his eye. And shakes off the ill effects of that, and now he's having to look at the sticks from wide out at right half forward.
Well, he's got the distance, there's no question about that. And he's got the leg for this side of the ground. He's on the right side for a left footer, bringing that ball inside.
To open up the angle slightly for him. Mackay goes with the drop punt. He's kicked it across the face. Top of the goal square, comes down to Coleman. Heavy tackle, Pitnet, ball comes out. McCarthy hand pass back to Pitnet. Pack forms around him in the goal square. And a ball up 5 metres out from Carlton's goal line. Brisbane by 10, approaching half-time, but a bit of momentum with the baggers here.
You can't push the ball through on the full here, the ruckman.
Tossed in the air, in the goal square. McInerney goes back. Chance for Hewitt. He got it. He snapped, but didn't have enough effect. Straight into the arms of Berry, who takes off. Kicks to a one-on-one. Lewis Young thumps it down. Straight into the arms of Answorth. Handballs back to Charlie Cameron. He's got it across half-back. Goes to the wing. It's all Blues players there. And the mark to Ollie Hollands. Wants to go quick. Last minute of play in half before half-time. McGovern's got it. Flares it wider still to Jack Silvani. Silvani tries to go for Charlie Cameron over his head. Here's a chance for Ed Cameron. Tackled to the turf. Wonderful tackle by Berry. Goes unrewarded. Play. The umpire says play on before they pile on top of each other. A tangle of arms and legs. 55 out from the Blues goal. 38 seconds before half-time, and it's Brisbane leading by 10 points.
Led by as many as 18 earlier in the quarter. There's a free kick here as McInerney's held out illegally by Pitternet. So second ruck infringement against him tonight. And the Big O gets the free for Brisbane on the back flank. Final 30 seconds in the term. Lays a hand pass over to Starcevic. Kicks Brisbane down the city wing. Flying early, Kemp didn't get a touch on the footy. It spills out of play anyway, and a throw in right on halfway. Mackay busted open in that contest earlier, but back out on the ground. Had a shot at goal moments ago. Both subs unused. Matt Kennedy for Carlton and Jared Lyons, aptly named for Brisbane. From the throw-in, McInerney palms it down, but straight to Chera. Hand pass to Silvani. His handball got to Hewitt. Took a while to release it, eventually out to McCarthy, locked up straight away. Doherty grabs a loose footy on the low goal, the city wing, hooks a kick to half forward. And Coleman ends up with a Sharon right on the bell to signal the end of the first half. It was a free-flowing, high-octane opening quarter. And the brakes came on in that second term. Brisbane threatened to pull away with the contest. They had 9 out of 10 scoring shots at one point, led by a game-high 18. And Carlton pegged it back to be within 10 at half-time. The Brisbane Lions 7-7-49, Carlton 6-3-39. It's the Lions by 10 points. The goal kickers, 2 for Gunston, 2 for Charlie Cameron, 1 to Danaher, McCarthy and Zach Bailey. Meanwhile for Carlton, we got 1 each down the page. Motlop, Mackay, Doherty, Durden, Charlie Curnow and Ed Curnow. Brisbane by 10 at half-time to open round 8 of the AFL Premiership season. The umpires making their way off, led by Simon Meredith. So he's flanked by Justin Power, Brendan Hosking and Robert Finlay tonight. But Simon Meredith, a milestone night for him. Game number 450 that he officiates tonight.
Amazing.
He's a good umpire too.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a very good umpire.
He would have umpired some of your games, surely.
There's only a couple left,
yeah.
Corbs. Yeah, he certainly did.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. What a wonderful achievement.
Yeah,
good on
him.
Game 450.
Good bloke, good umpire, common sense umpire. Well, think the ones you like.
7 grand finals for him. Well done on the milestone tonight. Brisbane by 10 at the half. Now, off the SMS, just before I get the analysis from both of you lads, Bill says Blues skill errors burn all their efforts too often. From Outlaw in Darkin. I'm pretty sure in Western Australia. Here just listening to the Curnow brothers turn it up, sounding a bit like my old days playing for the West Arthur Bulldogs.
Wow.
Cheers from Outlaw. And from Marcus, loving the No Stupid Songs after the Lions goals tonight. Great match. That's, of course, a little hat tip to their efforts at home where they have almost like a dedicated theme song for certain players after they kick a goal.
I know this is not about this game, but I go grocery shopping with my wife on Friday mornings, and we just have a coffee there, and it's just a big bloke walked up to me and he said, Mick, how you going? You don't know me, but anyway, we started talking about the game, and he said, somehow we started talking about his own games, and he said, look, a friend sent me this, I want to show you this. So he sent me this. So he showed me this little thing on his phone, playing for West Cairns or something like that. He's kicked 228 goals for 1 year.
Wow,
228 in 1 year,
and it was, and I think he's 5th overall in Australia of the number of goals kicked. So there's 4 other blokes has kicked over 228 goals in a year. So.
You'd be stiff not to be on top, wouldn't you, if you got 228?
And he said to me, you know what the worst thing about it? I said, go on, tell me. He said, we lost the grand final.
Oh, no. You kicked over 200 and you can't get a flag.
That's a plug of locker stuff, isn't it?
By the way, does this happen to you often? People come up and just show their own highlights on your phone?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is to say, you reckon I've still got a chance?
Yeah. It's half-time at Docklands, Brisbane by 10. Mick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling.
Well, Lingy, I'm going to ask you this question, and I know you looked at your phone, so you probably got these stats. We thought that Brisbane dominated that quarter, didn't we?
Yep.
How many times did they get the ball in front 50?
I haven't checked that one yet.
How many times?
12?
8.
8?
They've dominated the game, except for the last 5 minutes, 8 times. And what did they kick in that quarter? They kicked 2 goals, 4, so 6 of the 8 times they've scored.
Yeah.
But 8.
8 times.
I mean, how many times do you dominate a quarter and you go, oh, we only had in there 8 times?
Yeah. Well,
that's what I said to you before. They didn't hurt Carlton.
No, they didn't. And Carlton were all at sea with their structure, and it wasn't working. But you're right, they didn't pile it on. And to Carlton's credit, the moment we said when it went back to the centre bounce, Mick, Carlton fixed it up and got the structure back on their terms in the game. I've been impressed with Carlton's what you call post-clearance contested possessions. So most contested possessions, as you know, Mick, come at clearances around stoppages. Carlton are -8 in the clearances. But they're +16 in contested possessions. Yeah. So that's basically away from the clearance +24 in that area. So Carlton's ability to get across the extra number across and clean up that next ground ball or a front and square or whatever it might be has been quite good.
Yeah.
They are getting their hands on the ball. They are, I think the first or second handball has been quite sharp.
Yep.
The only thing that's probably let them down, and when Brisbane got the game on their terms, is just that kick where they've turned the ball over and Brisbane have been able to create something from the turnover. But as you pointed out, Brisbane didn't fully capitalise on that in that second quarter.
Not at all. And when you think a side dominates, and you look down and it's 8 times, okay, probably a lot of the play went inside the front 50 and stayed in there. So therefore, there was probably multiple opportunities inside on that 8 because Carlton couldn't clear it. And that's what happened at the end of the quarter. Went into Carlton's front 50 and Brisbane couldn't clear it, hence the goal. And when we look now, it's just over a goal. So this game is so alive. I think the back lines generally are on top. Midfields are having their day. It looks good. Then all of a sudden you're chasing. The one constant I reckon at the moment is McInerney's ability to almost clear the ball himself. I don't know how many clearances he's registered for. Maybe I'm being over the top because I know he's been. So he's got 7. Well,
great call,
so that says a lot to me.
That's a team high, by the way,
and that's not.
And it's a game high. Sorry, as well.
That's not the hit out creating the clearance. No. That's a follow up possession from the ruckman.
And it may well be a big smash away. And I don't know how they clear that, but it just seems to me that's the major difference in the whole play is McInerney's ability. Because I think both back lines have been, Witterings has been as good as Payne, as good as Andrews, as good as Young. In your midfield, you've got Lockie, Neil looks good, then Cripps looks good, and then someone else looks good. But the one constant to me is McInerney's ability, and I'm not surprised at this move. But when McInerney goes off, so does Pinnet, and on comes the lesser ruckman, and on comes Joe Danaher. You'd almost do a double take, and getting back on for a brief moment, make Carlton have to go, oh, hang on, we don't really want our secondary ruckman rucking against McInerney. Can McInerney then have a breather at a different time? Okay, it might expose yourself a little bit because then, Danaher's got to come on and he's I'm going to say this, he's a useless ruckman. I mean, today, I think he's turned the corner in his intensity as a forward, and he's needed to, and he's doing that, and then credit to him, and also it's good for Brisbane, but he can't ruck to save himself. But then he's rucking against blokes that aren't overly good either.
No, that's true. He's very much the secondary ruckman. I wonder if at times if that forward line's working okay, and it's Silvani that goes into the ruck for Carlton, they just use Josh Dunkley as the ruckman and say, okay, in this period of time, we're going to have
4 midfielders.
An extra midfielder, and you two are just going to play us on balls. Well, in that situation, advantage Brisbane, because Dunkley's a better midfielder than what Jack Silvani is. And he's probably not going to win enough hit-outs to go, big advantage Silvani in the ruck work.
And if it goes into your forward line, Hipworth does it, or Danaher does it. It goes in your back half. Have a look who Carlton are going to use in the ruck, and go, okay, Andrews, if he's your opponent, you stay on him. So there are a lot of ways of doing it, of course.
It is half-time, Friday night footy to start round 8 at Docklands. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling, Brisbane by 10 at half-time. We'll give you the Sunday teams that are out in just on the other side of the latest from the ABC newsroom as well, with a high-profile Magpie left out of the Collingwood team to play the preliminary final rematch on Sunday. It's half-time, second half action not far away. Brisbane by 10 on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and, of course, through the Listen app for the first time in 2023. Just before the third quarter, let's see what's happening in the ABC newsroom.
Good evening, Rachel Hayter with ABC News. Trade unions say a new agency set up to help workers in fossil fuel industries get new jobs will need to vary its approach to each region. From July, the National Net Zero Authority will help communities to attract new clean energy industries and support businesses as they decarbonise. The ACTU President, Michelle O'Neill, says the agency will need to work with each community based on its particular needs.
The most important thing is that this is done in a way where it works effectively with the state and local governments, but also with local communities. The best examples of this around the world is where you develop plans that are different for each region and community.
In an Australian first, Victoria's Indigenous Truth-Telling Inquiry has had a chance to question the state's Attorney-General over systemic racism in the justice system. Kate Ashton explains.
While Jacqueline Symes may be the highest law officer in Victoria, Yuruk Justice Commissioner Travis Lovett reminded her who she was appearing in front of.
We are the first law people of this land, and I just wanted to really make that point.
Thank you for making that point.
Commissioner Kevin Bell, a former Supreme Court judge, pressed Ms Symes on the government's decision to raise the criminal age of responsibility to 14, not 12.
Because I have tried a person aged under 14, and it's left me. I won't say anymore.
Uruk's public hearings continue next week.
Service New South Wales says staff at a Sydney CBD centre are being offered counselling and support after a stabbing attack on an employee. Emily Lawrence has more.
A spokesperson from the Department of Customer Service says every possible support is being made available for the staff member and his family following the attack at the Haymarket Centre on Rawson Place shortly after 9 o'clock. Police say the 55-year-old was stabbed in the lower back, chest and shoulder. He was treated by paramedics at the scene, then taken to hospital in a critical but stable condition. A 32-year-old man was arrested. The Service New South Wales Centre will be closed for the rest of the day and the weekend following the attack.
All charges have been dropped against a man who had been accused of being involved in a more than $22 million public sector fraud case. Nick Perpich has more.
Jacob Anthony's had been facing 542 counts of corruption for his alleged part in a scheme of fake invoices to government departments with corrupt public servant Paul White. He was first charged in November 2019 and was due to face trial in July this year after pleading not guilty. But in court today, prosecutors filed a notice of discontinuance, saying there'd been a breakdown in communications with police and a further 18 to 24 months would be required to be ready for trial. Justice Joseph McGrath granted the application, but said it was deeply unsatisfactory. Prosecutors have indicated they're likely to lay fresh charges.
2 coal projects planned for Queensland have been struck off by the federal government. The China Stone Mine southwest of Mackay and Stanmore's open cut mine on the Western Downs won't go ahead. The Federal Environment Minister says both proposals have lapsed. Tanya Plibersek says the companies involved had not provided information about the likely environmental impact, which was requested over several years. Overseas, the head of a powerful Russia mercenary force says next week his forces will leave the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, which they've been trying to capture since December. Tom Melville reports.
Despite its lack of strategic value, the battle for Bakhmut has become one of the bloodiest so far in the Russia-Ukraine war. The White House estimates Russia alone has suffered 100,000 casualties, including 20,000 deaths in 5 months of fighting in the Bakhmut region. Half of those are from the Wagner mercenary group headed by Evgeny Prigozhin. Now Prigozhin says his troops are pulling out, saying in the absence of ammunition, they're doomed to perish senselessly. He's asked defence chiefs to insert regular army troops in their place. It's not clear if this announcement can be taken at face value, as Prigozhin has frequently posted impulsive comments in the past.
And Serbian police say they've arrested a suspect in connection to a drive-by shooting which killed 8 people and injured 14 others. You're up to date with the latest ABC News.
25 Harrison Avenue, 1pm.
I was getting messages from someone written on the Ace of Diamonds.
What messages?
Maybe I'm supposed to help you or something.
I need help.
45 Edgar Street, midnight.
Are you here to save us?
An unlikely hero on an unlikely mission.
Tell me, who's behind this?
From the author of The Book Thief.
Sometimes you just have to play the cards you're dealt.
The Messenger.
I like a mystery.
Starts Sunday, May 14 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Gunston throws his boot at it to the top of the goal square. Blues with the numbers back. Akers by hand to Silvani to Kemp. Hand pass to McGovern. Under pressure. Hand pass back to Silvani. He's in stride. He's coughed it up. Charlie Cameron's got it. Holding the ball to call. Cameron gets the gift. Hooks through his second. Dunkley pokes it into the pocket. And Hugh McCluggage unchecked against the boundary line, and he can have a shot here. He's 1 goal 3 on the season, but as you said, it's not his strong suit in the pass. Right, he's going to drop it in short for Gunston.
That's embarrassing for Carlton.
Gunston hooks it across the body, makes it look like a drill.
50-50 ball. Chera goes in hard again. Slapped down by the Brisbane Lions. Chincotta gets it. Makes amends, goes long, Motlop in a one-on-one, couldn't quite do it. Here's a chance for Charlie Curnow, he's got to beat 3 off to Jesse Motlop, it's a goal!
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Entertaining game so far. Brisbane led by 14 points in the first quarter before Carlton kicked 3 in a row. They actually hit the front time on in that opening term before Brisbane steadied up. They had it out by as many as 18 points at one stage in the second. And then Carlton again with a bit of momentum late in the quarter got it to a 10-point game at the half. It is Brisbane 7-7-49, Carlton 6-3-39. Brisbane by 10 points at half-time. Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Mick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling and Tim Hodges, your call team for this Friday night at Docklands to start round 8. It is Magic Round in the NRL. Of course it is, because it's not school holidays. It's just a random weekend in May. So all of a sudden it's time to do Magic Round in the NRL. So everyone's off to Brisbane. They're 1 game in already. 34-30. The Canberra Raiders beating the Canterbury Bulldogs by 4. So a win for the Green Machine. And one of the host teams, of course, the Brisbane Broncos up against the Manly Seagulls. It is a shutout with half an hour to go, so the Broncos lead 20-0 over Manly.
Are they copying the AFL's gather round?
Sounds like
Careful.
How about Peter V'landys during the week?
Oh, my God. We copied them because they copied our state of origin.
Yes.
But Peter V'landys during the week.
So on
so good.
On Wednesday, when the AFL was announcing their 19th team, he decided to come out with, we're considering putting a second team in Melbourne.
The day before the announcement, he put out a release. Second team to be looked at in Melbourne.
But no confirmation of anything. Look, it's something we're looking at, so just to let everyone know that that's what we're looking to do. But anyway.
Stir the pot. Nice.
Yeah. The teams for Sunday, of course, the squads announced last night, but some final changes to those. So first of all, for Port Adelaide and Essendon, Tom Jonas and Todd Marshall both... How am I going here? Tom Jonas and Todd Marshall are back for Port Adelaide, so there's no Lord and no Dursma. Heppel and Davey Jr. come back for Essendon. Meanwhile, the Collingwood-Sydney game, no Jack Ginnivan. So he's been left out. Guinea of the Collingwood team, having played the last 3 games. Pendlebury and Cox come back in. Fox and McInerney return for the Sydney Swans. Francis, Stevens and Sheldrick all dropped. So that's the preliminary final rematch at the MCG on Sunday. And the last game of the round, North Melbourne and St Kilda here at Docklands, Davies Uniacke. And Blake Drury is going to make his debut, who's off the rookie list, pick number 1 actually in the rookie draft to make his debut for North Melbourne. Aaron Hall's been dropped. Kane Turner's been dropped. So a few selection calls there for Alistair Clarkson.
I was at that game last week. I'm not surprised those players have been dropped. Far below AFL standard.
Comben, Coleman, Jones and Powell all injured. Meanwhile, for the Saints, Sharman comes in and Cordy goes out. Jai Clark's been included as an emergency, so maybe a little smoky as a sub. He came in late for Ocean Mullen, who was actually did a hamstring. He was named as an emergency originally, so bit of a watch on there for the Cats with a shake-up to their emergency list. And for Richmond, Soldo's come out of that team after being named last night, and Cumberland ends up getting his place back for Richmond.
Back again.
He'll play against the Eagles tomorrow.
That could be an interesting game too, because they're not knocking the door down to they've lost. They've only won the one game, haven't they? The Tigers.
Yep,
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, through with Carlton first game, which was quite remarkable in itself. Really, 7 or 8 goals each.
They come out and smack the Eagles, though, don't they?
I don't know whether Richmond are playing with the same passion as they did a few years ago, and I reckon there's a couple of the kids are just going, a couple of senior players are really just going. So I would really suspect a different Eagles camp this week. I think in effort. That's the only game of the year they've actually been blown away totally. When you look at Geelong, got them early, and I think they levelled off in the last half. And you don't know, Geelong might have eased up, who knows? But you can only do what you can do. I'm not convinced about the Tigers by any stretch of imagination.
So Brisbane by 10 points, about to get underway in the second half. Some of the numbers, Akers and Cherov had it 18 times each in this first quarter, 14 for Sam Walsh, 13 for McGovern. And Josh Dunkley leading the disposal getters for the Brisbane Lions with 16, 15 for McCluggage. Lockie Neal on fire in that opening turn. He's got the 12 disposals. So
Kel, when you said Dunkley, what's his percentage disposal rate or efficiency?
63%.
Yeah, that's he's got to get up to 70 odd, 75 plus.
Below team average, so team average at 68 at the moment for Brisbane. Entertaining first half, Lions by 10, second half upon us on Grandstand AFL. You're with Kelly Underwood.
6 v 4th on the ladder. One of these entrenched in the top 4 with a win here tonight, and it's the Blues that win it. Cripps gives the handball off to Doherty.
Wow.
What?
Umpire had a clear view of that, didn't pay it. The one behind did.
Tackle of Dunkley on Cripps. Cripps can't believe it. Dunkley's rewarded. Brisbane with the quick kick inside 50. Charlie Curno's tackle gets the handball off to McCluggage. Bouncing ball, edge of the goal square. It'll bounce over the boundary line.
Oh, you've got to leave that to the umpire with the best view.
Oh, absolutely. Not only best view, closest in there.
Was it a throw, Lingy?
Throw, and listen,
was it a throw?
Yeah, he might have actually got it right. Whoops. I'll walk that one back. Well umpired.
So the boundary throw in right in front of
that's set up.
The Brisbane goal, and the Blues player in Is it Akers has kicked it out of bounds?
Yes.
Or straight to the Brisbane
Straight
Lions
to
player.
Bailey.
He's been ordinary tonight in his disposal, Akers. I know he has been getting a lot of it, but look, I'm just going to say he was under pressure, kicked it over his shoulder. For those that are just listening and not watching, Brisbane had a perfect setup. They sat out on the 50-metre line. All the Carlton players pushed in, put under pressure. Kick goes out. Brisbane by themselves.
So Zach Bailey to the southern end to extend the Brisbane Lions lead in the first minute of this third term. Tough angle, steps inside 50. The sharpest shooter, Bailey puts it through. He buries it from outside 50, and that's his second goal of the night. Lions out by 16, 8-7-55. Carlton 6-3-39. And that call, Cameron Ling, was correct from the umpire. That wasn't quite in the front row there, but it was blue streaming out of the centre going for goal.
And that's the reason why I made comment. There was an umpire who was directly facing Cripps, had the best view. He was satisfied with it. It was the umpire behind, and I thought that he just guessed because he thought it looked like a throw. On replay, brilliant decision. It was a throw.
You reckon he didn't get his hand to it at all?
He didn't get his fist to it.
I'm like the front umpire then.
It is highly unusual, though. If you're 4 metres away, you're in shot as you watch it on a television set, right there, and yet the guy that's 25 metres away says, no, I've seen that clearly.
Yep.
Anyway, 16 points, Brisbane's lead. 2 minutes into the second half as Dunkley gets the break, kicks down to half forward. McGovern spills the mark, floating through. Falls to Akers, though, for Carlton. Short kick to Doherty.
I think that was a cheer for a ball that finally hit the target.
Sam Doherty in game 1, 50 tonight. The former skipper goes long down the line. Silvani flies in the pack, no mark. Spills down underneath Leicester. He's locked up straight away and a ball up.
When that ball comes in there deep like that, Brisbane just pushed the numbers right into that pack. You have to be really good to take a mark there. But Carlton got to bring the ball in a bit differently, quicker, flatter.
Brisbane by 16. McInerney grabs it out the ruck, gets a hand pass away to McCluggage. He's tackled high. A free kick for McCluggage at half back. All-Australian nom last 4 years. Hugh McCluggage still looking for his first blazer. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. Hodgie.
Can confirm, Corbin, they were jeers, not cheers, that Blake Akers actually hit a target. It is a full house here at the Docklands, and they are right on the edge of really cracking it, this Carlton mob. So, big few minutes ahead.
Well, they've got the same eyesight as I have then, because he really hasn't hit a target all night.
McCluggage's kick hits Dunkley. Dunkley goes long in front. Almost taking the mark was Kemp, the defender for the Blues. At ground level, McCluggage again. How did he get there so quickly? Off to Danaher, centering kick. Berry almost on McGovern, a one-on-one. It was a wrestle of strength. Berry goes again. Now the Blues cavalry arrives. And they take him to the turf and make sure the ball doesn't pop out of there.
Some good decisions there, the umpire. Non-decisions, because Berry got grabbed around the neck, but he had his head down already.
Ball out 30 metres out from Brisbane's goal. McInerney thumps it into the chest of Charlie Cameron.
Well, he just sets him up, McInerney. Right now, you're scared stiff as a backline player because you don't know whether to go front or behind your man.
Tackled by Newman, so another stoppage. McInerney gets it to Charlie Cameron again. McCluggage involved to Berry, who's right up against the boundary line, kicks to the top of the goal square. Bodies fly everywhere, and the last man standing was Young, who says, yep, I'll take an uncontested mark. Handball's off to Sard, bouncing sideways in the back pocket. His kick is an up and under and out of bounds on the full. It's going to come back in quickly here for the Brisbane Lions.
Just kick it earlier. He put himself under pressure then, Sard, and he had Curnow as the long target.
Milestone game for the Blues tonight for Adam Sard, playing his 50th. Kick comes back inside 50. Young's up strong, takes the mark.
Been impressive, their marking players back there.
And Young just dishes off the hand pass to Adam Sard. The woof cries as he kicks his long left footer down the boundary line. Payne spoils, but straight into the path of Charlie Curnow. His direct opponent looks to hand pass, has to kick hurriedly down the wing, spills the way of Walsh, dangerous handball, a turnover, bursting through, putting the Jets on Wilmot, kicks inside 50 to Danaher. Playing in front, it drops in that hole at centre half forward, and he can shoot from about 40 out just right of centre.
Great play, Darcy Wilmot. Just saw a little opening, went straight through it, took the game on, and then still had the composure to hit the target of Joe Danaher coming at him. We see so many young players get that little rush of blood. We're through, I'm excited. I'll just launch long. Instead, he spotted Danaher and hit him perfectly.
The set shot for the left footer. He moves in. The shot's out to the right. It's out to the left. It's out to the left wildly. And in the end, he's lucky to score. Behind Brisbane by 17 points. 6 gone, 13.
Yeah, laid back. He's better at 60, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he wants to just put it through post. Instead of going over the top, he'll kick the ball out of the park. Who cares?
So here's Adam Sard to bring it back into play, playing his 50th game for the Blues, and he's kicked it straight down the throat of Dunkley for the Brisbane Lions.
Well,
Gets up slowly, puts his hand up to say, I'm going to have a set shot from here.
What do you reckon, Kel?
Well, I'm going to back him in because he's a smart player. He ignored a couple of players floating by.
If he's smart, he'll kick it to someone else.
Adam Sard needs to realise you don't have to kick the most amazing kick every single time you kick the ball.
Hewitt's the man on the mark. He's 48, directly in front. So right on 50, Dunkley goes. And you shouldn't listen to me. You should listen to Mick Moldhouse. He's coached the most games ever. I've done absolutely nothing because Mick was right.
You're coaching.
He went out of bounds on the full.
You're winning now. You're in the winning.
I am.
Coaching.
Yes, different sport, basketball, and they're 7-year-old girls. But we did go back to back. Just working my way through the ranks, Mick.
A 0-goal 3 for the year at his new club, Josh Dunkley, on the back of his year last year where he kicked 18 goals. And the best and fairest year for the Bulldogs. Goes long out to half-back. Doherty on the exiting kick for the Blues. Scrap on for the footy at ground level, though. Walsh wrestling for it. The Lions extract it. McCluggage to Dunkley. Tumbles a kick goalward. It pitches and runs out of play.
Here's the part of the ground where McInerney has such a huge advantage. So the boundary throw-in up against Pitnet. You've got all the mids, all the forwards, Neil, everyone, just wanting to get on the end of this McInerney hit.
Here we
Lockie
go.
Neal's gone down behind play.
He's involved in a bit of push and shove there with Doherty and Newman. And Neal hits the deck. The whistle went immediately, and Lockie Neal's going to be given a free kick here.
He's grabbing at his jaw. He's stretching his jaw out. And they went straight for Newman, I think.
So Neal is going to get this. He's 25 out, just right of centre. Just waiting on a replay to work out exactly what happened. But you're right, Kel. Newman was the guy they rushed to immediately.
Well, see, they're really... as Lingy said, they're really worried about what McInerney can do.
Newman elbow to the face of Lockie Neal.
Obvious free kick to make it a goal. He's left one out there. Brisbane just leaving the door ajar here. They've kicked 5 of the last 7 goals in the game after falling behind, but they've kicked 8 goals 9 to Carlton 6-3. 9 minutes gone in the third term. Brisbane by a game high 18.
Well, Sard to Pitnet, who's been told to play on. Sorry, it's not Pitnet, it's Chincotta. And they almost mess it up. Eventually the kick sideways across the face is marked by Newman. Lockie Neal, the man standing the mark. Newman goes long looking for Cripps. Man in front, rising high. Dunkley keeps getting better the longer this game goes on. Getting involved, Josh Dunkley. He's marked right in front of the Brisbane Lions bench. Sends it back inside 50. Pack forms. Target was Rayner there. Comes to Joe Danaher. He's hemmed in against the boundary. Tackled. Has forced a handball. Now the Blues through Akers to Young. This time it's Lockie Neal with the tackle on Young. And there's a bit of feeling in it. Push and shove. Lockie Neal and Akers. Young gets up and returns to the defensive goal square. Tossed in the air. Doherty's kick is smothered. He goes again. This time it's Chera. Or Rayner has knocked off Newman off the ball, so any chance to get Newman. Harry Mackay launches across half back. Blues doing plenty of hard work. Curnow with a tackle. Unrewarded. Honey splits through. Comes to Akers. Akers to Doherty. Right up against the boundary line. He's run into a brick wall, and the brick wall is Dunkley. And Dunkley's letting Blake Akers know all about it.
He's always going to award that as holding the ball, but the safety of the boundary saved him.
So it'll be a boundary throw-in instead, but the tackle happened right in front of the Brisbane Lions bench. They made sure they held him down for a while as some Lions players came in and remonstrated. Oscar McInerney with a fresh air swing at it. Waiting at the back was Chera. Spins out of trouble. Quick little give. Comes the way of Sard, and a short kick is marked by Walsh. Still, they've all these possessions have gone nowhere. Walsh has got it. On the dockside wing, his kick's gone straight to Leicester of the Brisbane Lions.
It's
that the first time they've gone past halfway this quarter?
Yeah, it is. It's 6-1 inside the front 50.
Completely
6 to none.
lost their mojo, the Blues.
Leicester pumps it back down the wing. Kemp goes up. Free kick. Kemp had hands on the footy, but McInerney had his arms chopped, so the Big O's getting the free. Brisbane all over Carlton here as they pump it inside 50 for a 7th time. Danaher with the big sit, no mark. Hand on it from Young. Spills down to McCluggage. Almost soloed it to himself as the ball's coming back. Which way?
Sorry to jump over, but Jacob Wiedering copped one in the back. Free kick was paid and they've paid 50.
Oh. So it's their second 50-metre penalty tonight. Interestingly, I saw on the stat sheet leading in that Carlton have received 2 more 50s than any other team in the competition. They're now +4 in that category. And we're only 11 minutes into the third term of the first game of round 8. Wiedering swings his kick to the outskirts of the centre square to Ed Curnow. Passes to brother Charlie. Marks and immediately rolls on Payne. Looks inside 50. Honey. The sticky hands takes the mark right half forward. 35 out for the Blues.
If Curnow hadn't have played on there, Brisbane get their numbers back, close it out. Great play by Curnow because as soon as he marked it, he didn't hesitate from outside. He was about 60 metres out, turned, opened up. Carlton players leading at him, and he was able to kick the ball in there, and Brisbane couldn't get the numbers back.
Little example for what he wants his teammates to do.
To him.
Yeah,
exactly.
Carlton need it for the momentum shifter. He misses out to the right. 6-4 to 8-9. 13 gone in the third term. Brisbane by 17. Grandstand AFL. Ominous signs for Carlton.
Oh, but here's a chance for the Blues because the kick out has gone straight to McGovern. A give and a go. He's put down. He gets his kick away inside that left forward pocket. But losing it was Honey. Oh, 50-50 ball. Here's a chance for the Blues again. They're leaving the door open for them, the Brisbane Lions. Harris Andrews is in a tussle with Durden. And the umpire will ball it up. 10 metres out in the left forward pocket from the Blues goal. The Navy faithful are up on their seats. The cheer squad behind the northern end goals.
So, sorry, Cal, this is McInerney versus Silvani, so there's just not that same fear factor that you have down the other end of the ground. If you're a Brisbane defender here, you just know that your teammate, McInerney's going to win the hit out.
Boundary throw in, McInerney does. He hits it straight to himself and then he kicks it, rubbers it. Might be a chance for that to open the door for Chera. It does. Chera goes short. And then he finds his Kemp, and then Kemp tried to get it over, but the Blues have cocked it up. Hewitt.
They've been fierce this quarter, Brisbane, with their tackling. Really, I don't know what the number is this quarter, but it's they've kept the football alive all the time.
Rayner's tackle on Hewitt. They hit the pack hard right on the dockside wing. Sharp gets it, kicks inside 50. Oh, it was an unkind bounce for Newman, and his direct opponent, Charlie Cameron, runs in and goals. Charlie Cameron's got his third, and Newman scuffs his boot into the turf. The most unkindest of bounces.
How good was Gunston? Yeah. That was Gunston's goal. He knew he didn't have the pace to get to the contest, so he just was able to reach in. Brilliantly done by Gunston. And a good finish.
Leads out by 23 points now. The alarm bells are starting to sound. Brisbane 9-9-63. Carlton 6-4-40. 14, halfway through the third term, Lingy.
Old story though, isn't it, Mick? If you're Newman and you leave your dangerous opponent, you must influence the play.
Yeah.
Gunston was superb, I agree with you, to keep it alive. But if you're Newman, you just have to take ball, body, whatever, and keep that ball in front of you. Otherwise, Charlie Cameron does what he did exactly then.
And Wiedering has come out of that with I reckon, a sub-black elbow.
He kicked 6 of the last 8 in the game. Brisbane, after falling behind, Doherty caught in the middle at the restart. Will have a ball up again. Slick handball from the Brownlow medalist. Cripps passing through. Danaher a run on the ball. Leaps up, wins the hit out. Cripps at the coalface again. He's bowled over. McCluggage got it out. Hand pass to Danaher. Jams it on his left peg. Bouncing footy to centre half forward. McGovern knocks it down to Sard. Free kick. Coming back to McGovern. He'll get it centre half back for Carlton. Hodgie on the boundary.
Yeah, Mick was spot on there. It's a right elbow for Jacob Wiedering, a hyperextension by the look of it. He's having that heavily straps, like lots of strapping. He's in a hell of a lot of pain, but they're trying desperately to get him back out there soon.
McGovern wide to Silvani in front of Tim Hodges. Can't complete the mark. Spills down to Newman. Tumbles a kick to half forward. Payne hitting up. Playing in front of Charlie Curnow. Bangs it back to half forward. Gunston reaching no mark. McGovern at the back for Carlton. Hand pass to Kemp. Looks inboard. Finds Doherty. Marks centre half back for Carlton.
He can go. And he does just that. He hits up his former co-captain, now solo captain in Cripps. Goes wider still. This is Honey who's got it on the City wing. He's been urged to go by the Blues fans. They're getting irritable. He goes towards Mackay in a one-on-one. Mackay got first grab. Second time swatted away from Andrews in a one-on-one between those two brilliant players over the boundary line.
The two Brisbane backline tools are on top. It can change very quickly, but they are on top at the moment.
Keeping Charlie and Harry quiet. Boundary throw in. 60 around from the Blues goals. It's Danaher in the ruck and he takes it out of there. Gets his kick away. Should sit here for Hipwood who does a basketball-like slap. Pressure comes. Handballs behind to Gunston. Sard's got him. Breaks the tackle. And then handballs straight into the arms of Kemp. Kemp little smother when went over the boundary line. So a boundary throw in. City wing. Brisbane by 23 points. Blues did lead by 5 at the 20-minute mark of the opening term. It was the last time they led.
6 of the last 8 goals Brisbane's way from the boundary throw in. Pitternet down to Hewitt. Slick hands to Chera. Hand pass to Doherty. Back edge of the stoppage. Kicks down the wing. Charlie Curnow. She was horizontal in the air. Hit the ground hard. Loose ball won by the line. Sharp comes up with it. Turns, kicks inside 50. Young in the box seat. Hipwood playing from behind. Dragged the arm down in a free kick for Carlton at half back, and Louis Young's going to get it. Turned himself into a really nice AFL player since the switch from the Western Bulldogs and a couple of good years with the Baggers.
This is my issue at the moment. Sorry, I do agree with you, Cause, but my issue with Carlton at the moment is it's really slow, really stagnant. They might get a mark here if they can.
Not quite like Cripps. And Answorth at ground level swoops, wheels around onto the left, delivers to right on 50. Hipwood straight down the throat it went of Gunston. Gunston to the goal square. Here's another one coming up. Rayner says it's all yours, Sir Charles. And Cameron rolls in for goal number 4. He kicked 7 a couple of weeks ago. He's in goal kicking form, Charlie Cameron. And his 4th has blown the margin wide out to 29 points. 10-9-69. To 6-4-40. The Blues are going up and down in quicksand, Nick.
Well, it's the first time in my life I've ever seen that take place. When the ball was in the air and fell behind the pack, Cameron's man realised that Cameron was going to get it. He just turned and started to run off. Yeah. I don't think the goal was even kicked by that stage. So it was just remarkable. It was Newman. Yeah. Whether he was told, listen, if he kicks another one, you're gone. He did that before he kicked it.
He's probably had a couple of moments already here, Nick Newman, that I'm not sure he wants to see again. He had a great start to the year.
He did well against Toby Green a couple of weeks ago. Last week.
Nick's right. He started heading towards the bench before the ball had hit Charlie Cameron's boot.
Pitternet gets a hit out, but a straight to Neil. And the Brownlow medalist kicks out to half forward. There's a few of them out there tonight as Bailey comes up with it. He's tackled out of play by Akers and a boundary throw in half forward for Brisbane. He had a great start to the year, Nick Newman, in which he kept Toby Green to 1, Dusty goalless, Rankin to 1, and yet he's conceded the last 2 goals here on Charlie Cameron and had a mixed evening. That's not a great moment there with a turn and running to the bench with the ball still live. From the boundary throw in, Brisbane win it. Berry, hand pass away to McKenna. High floating ball to half forward, and Sard marks half back for Carlton. The Lions by a game high 29 points as we tick into time on in the third term. So breaking point here for Carlton.
So they were scoreless, the Blues, in the first 20 minutes of that second term before Motlop put their only goal through the quarter through. And they've only added a point after 20 minutes of play in the third term. Hit kick from the Blues at half-back has hit up Silvani. So Silvani marks on the wing, the Dock side wing. He kicks out wide. There's a long lead from Mackay. He goes to ground. Honey follows up with a tackle. He tackles Andrews. Ball spills clear. Brisbane with possession. Starcevic accepts the handball. Dashes down the wing. Kicks to Hipwood, who was off. Sard's got him. Holding the ball. Free kick to the Blues.
I reckon Coleman's in a bit of trouble. Maybe it's just his boots come off. I thought he was holding his back of his leg.
Sard gives it to Hewitt. A little step inside, right in front of the benches. The delivery inside 50. It's high, it's loopy, it's hang time, and Harris Andrews says thank you.
Well, Coleman's either a cramp or a hammy.
Yeah, he's done something.
Yeah.
He certainly is. And it's a shame because he's been in very, very good form.
Oh, the Brisbane Lions in the defensive 50. They're over-possessing it here. The kick's got to be spot on, and it is from one side to the other. Dunkley marks it, and he goes short to Leicester.
You called out the Newman thing moments ago and the way he turned and went to run off. If you were coaching him, he comes to the bench, are you chatting to him in that moment? Or is it a bring up during the week type thing?
Oh, no, he wouldn't wait that long. I wouldn't be able to wait that long, put it that way.
He's on the bench now. He's sitting there as the other three players about to come on, and also both teams still have their sub up their sleeve, of course.
So Berry got it to Answorth, who goes right on the 50. Over the head it was of McInerney. Oh, that's a rare fumble, and running in here is Bailey. Bailey's going to ice the game. And we're only in the third term. He's just booted his third. So another mistake by the Blues. And Chris Fagan standing up in the coach's box. Jed Adcock looks like he's sitting down in the big man's chair. And you just saw a little tap of the shoulder to Jed Adcock. So Chris Fagan says, yep, I think we can bank these 4 points. So it was Young at the back of the pack, and the handball was sloppy, and pouncing on it was Bailey, and the lead is 35. 11-9, 75, 6-4, 40.
It's funny you bring up the subs, Corbs. I reckon 3, 4, 5 minutes ago might have been a chance to actually do that for Carlton. They're getting destroyed through the middle of the ground.
Yep, absolutely.
Brisbane are all over them.
And Kennedy's a big-bodied player.
Yeah.
And he's a ball-getting player. You've got to, it's a real. It's not a safety. Your 25th player. He's just use him anytime.
All of a sudden, 35 points, 4 goals unanswered for Brisbane in the quarter as Walsh gets a rare centre break here for Carlton. Kicks out to Motlop. Motlop bowled over, goes back, wins it a second time. Wilmot won't let him have it. Tries to wrestle it from him and forces the stalemate. Will have the ball up on the City wing.
Carlton have kicked 1 goal, Corby, since, quarter time. So it's pretty damning.
Charlie Curnow has 1. Charlie Cameron's got 4.
It's 8 goals to 2 after they fell behind the Brisbane Lions. Carlton a hurried entry through Walsh. Berry gives it to Andrews, kicks out wide for Payne. Bounces once, twice, spins away from him, and we got a boundary throw in. 30 out from the Carlton goal. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
That sub is about to be made. Lewis Young, I think, is the Carlton player who's going to be fired out of this game to allow Matty Kennedy to come in. So 33, I can just see it being written on the form to be handed over. So the substitution has been made for Carlton.
Boundary throw in. Silvani to Hewitt. Hand pass to Hollands. Back to Hewitt through traffic. Centre half forward. Kicks to the goal square, and Payne takes the intercept mark.
And that's
I don't know about you, but I can pick another half a dozen.
Yeah, and that's with Wiedering, who's back on the ground with the elbow strap, though. There's no guarantee Wiedering's elbow's feeling great.
Hipwood's done nothing, so they might be thinking, well, he's done nothing, but he's only going to do nothing if he gets a player on him like Young.
So the Brisbane Lions bringing it out of the defensive 50. The target on the wing was Danaher, the dockside wing. 104's doing all the roving there was Oscar McInerney. He's going to take a while to get up. The big man, he's had a brilliant night. He's absolutely dominated Pitnet in the ruck. Tom de Koning just makes you wonder. He's missing a 3rd week in a row for the Blues. So much talk about where he's at with his footy, but he's not playing tonight.
McInerney could do a lot of players because he's just got good strength, height. You'll probably get the free kick here as well.
So the boundary throw-in is a free cut kick in the ruck contest. And you're right, Mick, he's got it.
Well, this is not the only player he's going to dominate. And I think we've all got to remember that. He's got to reach like a sick dog for a start off. So, I mean, he just keeps getting near the football.
Mick Moldhouse, 3-time premiership coach, having his special comments on ABC Grandstand. Lockie Neal, one of a couple of Brownlow medalists out there. In fact, Cripps, the other Brownlow medalist, is the man standing the mark right in front of the bench. Neal trying to add more pain here to the Blues. Kicks it right on the 50. Airily, no one's got it. Berry at ground level. Handball to McCluggage. Throws it on the boot. It'll land in the pocket. A chance for Charlie Cameron. Wiedering comes in. That'll test out the elbow. Spills at the back to Gunston. Gunston goes from one side to the other. Unkind bounce down there for Sharp over his head. And over the boundary line for a throw-in. Brisbane still pressing. Still 4 minutes to play in this third term. They lead it by 35 points after they led it by 2 at quarter time and 10 at the half.
Heck in the score, we need 4 inside the front 50s, Carlton.
Boundary throw in. McInerney knocks it down. Charlie Cameron has it. Hand pass away. Went straight to Walsh to the Blues. Jams a kick to centre half back. Flying through Wilmot. Hands to it. No mark. Falls to Cripps. Got it at centre half back for Carlton. Hand pass to Ed Curnow. Kicks to brother Charlie. Hits up in the centre square. Hand pass to Walsh, but they're all on the halfway line. Kicks it out wide to Mackay. He takes the mark and everyone's telling him to go. He's got no one in front of him, so has to go short to Silvani. Dear. He kicks to centre half forward. There's no one there for Carlton. Durden bangs into Dunkley. Ball spills out the way of the Lions. And a little kick from Berry just pokes it to McKenna, who marks centre half back for Brisbane. The Lions, they've kicked 8 of the last 10 goals in the game. They lead by 35 as we close in on three-quarter time.
So what about the disposal?
Awful. And the Jack Silvani one will be the obvious one because it missed. The kick before by Harry Mackay.
On the ground again?
On the ground, wide, slow, went nowhere.
So McKenna's kick went to Berry, and then Berry went backwards to Starcevic, who goes short by foot to Gunston, who's got it across half-back. Just going to eat into the clock here. They're happy to take this lead. A handy one at that, 35 points into the last change. Gunston. Down the line he goes. Hipwood in front position. There's a contested mark.
Hipwood v Sard is what that ended up with.
On the left. Wheels around. Can he find a target inside 50? No. But at ground level, Bailey's going to kick his fourth. It's just all too easy. He waltzes in. Put a handball off to the left, put a handball to the right. Instead, he said, you know what? I smell a bag. I'm going to bang it through for number 4. 12-9-81. 6-4-40 the Blues. It's been an absolute offensive avalanche in this third quarter. And you can see Blues fans leaving already, making their way up the steps, out to the gates and off onto Docklands and home. They're leaving before three-quarter time. It's Brisbane by 41 points. 12-9-81, 6-4-40. Let's get down on the boundary to Tim Hodges.
Cal, I was just going to say the same thing. It is an uneasy feeling. To be honest, it's a bit uncomfortable. I'm right behind the Carlton bench. They're copping a hell of a lot of criticism from a lot of angry fans. It's a fan base Mick knows very well. This is a full house here at the Docklands tonight. A lot of optimistic Carlton supporters came here, and as you said, Kelly, there are thousands of people leaving, and it's not even three-quarter time yet. They are a very disappointed bunch.
Thanks, Hodgie. We're starting to see more and more seats in more and more blocks as we get closer to three-quarter time. Hurried kick forward from Dunkley, and Newman takes the intercept mark. A short kick in the middle of the ground for Hewitt. The fascinating form line too here at Docklands. So I know their form had been patchy even though they'd been winning, but less than impressive against North Melbourne on Good Friday. Poor against the Saints Sunday week ago, and then here tonight in what should be their fortress in clean conditions under the roof, and they've kicked the ball at just over 60% tonight. Carlton work it up to the wing. Newman got it out to Honey. Hand pass to Doherty. Hand pass to Silvani. Kicks for Charlie Curnow, who takes the mark. Out on the searching lead. He's got it in front of Payne, who's had the better of the matchup so far, but Charlie Curnow a chance to make it 2 on the stroke of three-quarter time.
And you have to be a really good player to take a mark like that.
Yeah.
That's the ball's coming at you quick, the man's right on your backside and trying to spoil. Great hands.
Payne and Andrews have got the points so far, but gee, it's been rare that it's come down quick like that to their advantage.
Yeah, look at the uncontested possessions, 171, 149. That's Carlton's favour.
He's kicked multiple goals in his last 8 games. Charlie Curnow to make it 9. Can't extend his streak here. Carlton badly need one in the context of the game. They've kicked only 1 since quarter time. After kicking 5 in the first, we're at the half-hour mark of the third quarter. It's Brisbane by 40.
Payne's kept Curnow to 1. Andrews has kept Mackay to 1. In the meantime, Charlie Cameron with 4, Gunston with 2, and Bailey with 3. They're just sharing it around the Brisbane Lions in the back line. Berry, short to Danaher. What a third quarter performance this has been by the Brisbane Lions. And the reaction by the frustrated Blues fans, you can hear in the background. 12-9-81 Brisbane. Absolutely dictating play, utterly dominant against the Blues in that third term, 6-5-41. The margin is 40 points. So goalless, the Blues in the third term after just one in the second. The margin is 40. The goal kickers, as I just mentioned, Charlie Cameron 4, Zach Bailey 3, Gunston 2, singles to Danaher McCarthy. While for the Blues, all singles. Mackay's been held to 1, Charlie Curnow to 1, Motlop, Durden, Ed Curnow and Doherty. Carlton did lead by 5 points at the 20-minute mark of the opening term. An opening term that was 5 goals apiece, 10 all up. We thought we were in for a shootout. Since then, the Blues have gone backwards and the Lions have roared.
9 of the last 11 goals since falling behind the Brisbane Lions. As troublesome as it is for Carlton, it's been a hell of an effort from Brisbane again, and Chris Fagan's men, who have been criticised for how they go defensively, they've kept this Carlton team to 41 points in 3 quarters of footy in perfect conditions under the dome on a Friday night. Brisbane by 40 on ABC Radio, News Radio, Sport Digital, and also streaming through the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it! Bye-bye! See you later!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sports' expert commentary team. AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Rayners tackle on Hewitt. They hit the pack hard right on the dockside wing. Sharp gets it, kicks inside 50. Oh, it was an unkind bounce for Newman, and his direct opponent, Charlie Cameron, runs in and goals. Answorth at ground level swoops, wheels around onto the left, delivers to right on 50. Hitworth straight down the throat it went of Gunston. Gunston to the goal square. Here's another one coming up. Rayner says it's all yours, Sir Charles. And Cameron rolls in for goal number 4. Berry got it to Answorth, who goes right on the 50. Over the head it was of McInerney. Oh, that's a rare fumble, and running in here is Bailey. Bailey's going to ice the game. And we're only in the third term. He's just booted his third. Gunston. Down the line he goes. Hitwood in front position. There's a contested mark.
Hitwood v Sard is what that ended up with.
On the left, wheels around. Can he find a target inside 50? No. But at ground level, Bailey's going to kick his 4th. It's just all too easy.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
5 unanswered goals Brisbane's way in that third quarter, and the Lions, who led by 10 at halftime, lead it by 40 points at three-quarter time as the crowd has already started to thin out. A sold-out crowd for a Friday night. Always a big-ticket event when Carlton play primetime footy in this city. And with high hopes trying to make it back to a final series for the first time since 2013, they went as close as you could without getting there last year. The first team in 50-something years to be in the finals or in the top 8 every week until the last one. And they have just 2 losses on the season, and yet in a big-time spot against a team that are always contending. They've come up a long way short through 3 quarters. Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse.
Sorry, what year did you say they made the final?
13?
I was just thinking about it.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
There's been a few coaches, I think, even since then, unfortunately.
I do remember that game, that elimination final. That was 2013, wasn't it?
Against Richmond.
I was working on the boundary early on in my media career.
You're not playing?
No, I'd finished by then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was one of the most amazing games of football I've ever been at. That for crowd and everything. That was brilliant. Looking at this team, Mick, the Carlton team, credit to Brisbane. I suppose I want to start with more of a positive here. They hunted around the footy. They were brilliant in the contest. Their clearances were excellent. Their pressure was enormous in that quarter. The forward line started looking as dangerous as it can get. Charlie Cameron and Zach Bailey were just buzzing around. There was nothing from Carlton though, Mick. No. There was no... The ball use was poor. The one time probably they went in dangerously, they got to Charlie Curnow on a lead. I know he missed the set shot, but there was no real urgency to take the game on and think, hang on, it's slipping away, let's start taking a bit more of a risk here.
I think it's Premiership quarter.
You're
a midfield player.
Yeah.
and you know it starts and finishes there, Lingy. You know, I don't care how good your forward line is. If your midfield can't get the ball to you, you know, you've played in some sides that have been under the pump. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to start to stop the opposition from actually getting it and see whether you can crawl back into the game that way. Right now, it just seems too easy for Brisbane.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You're absolutely right, and especially when I look at the quality of that Carlton midfield on paper, and you think, come on, that's one area of the ground you should be able to break even and hopefully get an advantage in against this good Brisbane team. Yes, McInerney has been excellent in the ruck, dominant in the ruck, but you've got to be smart in that. You can't just think, okay, our ruckman's getting beaten, therefore we're going to get beaten in the middle of the ground.
I just can't believe they're taking Young off. Anyway, Kennedy's in the middle, but you know the bloke who I'm really disappointed in his disposal more than anything else is Walsh.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He's one of the others that have really just have butchered the football. They've given their forwards no hope. And I won't say it's butchered to the forwards. I reckon it's been butchered from half back into the middle to create the next play. Because most of those are either, if they don't miss a target and find Brisbane, they're actually hitting the ground in front of the Carlton players, who puts them under enormous pressure straight away.
So a couple of the key numbers, Brisbane +7 in inside 50 zone clearances. And Carlton's kicking efficiency at just 63% through three quarters. It's the Lions by 40. Final term underway. McInerney has been enormous. Wins the hit out down to the sub in Kennedy. It's a high up and under for Carlton, the centre half forward. Punched away by Starcevic. Back into the centre square. Rayner collects. Curnow tackles him. Lingers with the tackle as he gets a kick away. Rayner towards centre half forward for the Lions. Hitting up Wiedering. He's tackled by both Hipwood and McCarthy, and we'll have a ball up here, centre half forward for Brisbane.
I have to laugh there because McCarthy turned his back and got tackled around the back with the player with the ball.
Yes.
Hard to explain that.
No, I know what you mean. He came to tackle, and in the end he got tackled. He never had the footy. Hurried kick from Sard out towards the City wing. Picked up by Honey for the Blues. Tackled by Coleman. Hand pass put Kennedy under the pump. He's tackled by Dunkley, and the ump says, I'll have that. A ball up on the City wing. Brisbane by 40 points with a whole quarter to play and a third of the crowd missing.
Guess what, Lingy? Coleman hasn't got a hamstring.
No, just a cramp. Good news.
Especially the way he just attacked that football.
Yeah.
Ball up. City side wing. This place was pumping. It's like the dance floor's been cleared. Everyone's moved out.
DJ played the wrong song, Kel.
DJ did play the wrong song halfway through that third term, and didn't it clear the dance floor?
Brisbane up to 65 tackles, by the way, which is big by modern standards.
They've been excellent in that area. And even the ones that wouldn't count as a tackle, they're in the face of the Carlton player straight away.
Most of the fans are streaming home as they trail by 40 points. And a stagnant start to this final term. The boundary throw in on the outer side is thumped back over the boundary, so we'll reset and go again.
Well, it's going to be 50-50 this game, wouldn't it, before the game? People would have thought that...
Well, you tipped a draw, Mick.
Yeah, well, that was just a make-believe, but...
Well,
actually, my tip was Brisbane, thankfully.
My 8-year-old tipped the Lions by 50 points, and you tipped a draw, so there you go.
Yeah.
Says it all, really, doesn't it?
It does.
She might be in special comments next week.
Well...
Ball up here. And here's a clearance through Walsh. Hollins. And then a quick hurried kick to the top of the goal square. Chance for Charlie Curnow. No, rolls over. Dribbled away from him. Over the goal line.
Good body work by Payne again. It was like a big wall there to move.
He's kind of taken that role of Marcus Adams, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Big, strong one. Not expected to do too much outside his skill set. It's locked down.
Ashcroft marks the kick out at centre half back, goes long in the centre square, and Pitternet takes an intercept mark. We're not a gambling kind of show, but just to give you a sense of where the public sentiment was, Carlton were actually favourites coming into the game this afternoon, despite Brisbane's win streak, having won 4 in a row and about to make it 5. The kick here heads out wide, and Dunkley is caught in a scrap with Cripps, and Cripps will get the free kick taken down before the ball arrived.
Yeah, deservedly.
70 metres out, and he rolls. Cripps puts it to the top of the goal square. Charlie Curnow gets a run at it, crashes into his mate Mackay. No mark for either of them. McInerney drops down to his knees, holds the ball in with Durden and Ed Curnow, and the ump says, I'll have it. The ball up 20 metres out from the Carlton goal, coming home to the Coventry end. It's Brisbane by 39.
Can they add some respectability to the scoreboard? Can they win this final term? Pitnet goes without it. It's picked up by Chera, snaps it on the boot, and it's a late goal here for the Blues. A better start to a quarter. Chera rewarded for his hard work here tonight. And it's their 7th goal of the night. 7-6-48, trailing Brisbane 12-9-81.
Well, they needed to do that, the Blues. They needed to make a little statement. The game's not over. There's 5 goals behind, so it's going to be a hard task. But if you approach every minute as opposed to approach the quarter, every minute make a contest. I think your point before the game, Lingy, how you finish is how you want to start next week. So Carlton come with their tail between their legs, so they're going to start off like that next week. Now, they've got to now pick themselves up. And Brisbane on the other side of the coin, they've got to keep going with that pressure. So it's hard to maintain, we understand that, and the scoreboard looks cosy and that sort of thing, but don't give anything away.
Brisbane by 33. Pitternet in the middle, first hands on the footy. Ashcroft passing through, bangs bodies with Chera. Coming in off the square, ball spits out to Dunkley. The 1-2 with McKenna, and now Dunkley is gang tackled and a ball up in the middle. Will Ashcroft, one of 4 teenagers out there. He actually turns 19 tomorrow. A red-hot rising star favourite. He's laying a tackle here on Kennedy as the ball comes out Carlton's way. Chera hand pass to Walsh. Kicks out in front of Charlie Curnow. Payne works his way to the front. And a diving mark for the Brisbane key back. What a year he's having. He gets in the front spot there and takes the intercept mark.
Yeah, there was no daylight between them, shoulder to shoulder. That is just magnificent play.
Hails from Noosa, the Queenslander. Got no Tasmanians on their list, apart from their coach in Chris Fagan, so be breathing easier. Here's the Blues on the outer side. They've been able to get the turnover, and then the quick pass. It was spearing low to Charlie Curnow. This looks better. He goes long for his partner in crime, Harry Mackay, but Harris Andrews playing in front. Got the crucial hand to it.
Brisbane going into September, they'll need these two playing together and playing well, and they're doing it tonight.
Harris Andrews and Jackson Payne.
And Payne. They are a really good combination, and they've got some good ground players down there with them, so that puts them in the top echelon.
Twirling ball back in play. McInerney down to Neal in the defensive 50. Couldn't get it to Coleman, got it to Berry. Berry goes long. Danaher with the spoil. Hipwood was there as well. Free kick in that pack. It was 2-on-2, and it'll go to Wiedering. So it's half forward. Short pass Wiedering goes to Chera. Now, where's this entry inside 50 going? He's unsure. He's running backwards, and he's kicking under pressure to the pack. Payne was there, slapped it down to Silvani, who throws it on his left and really never gave that a chance. And it's marked on the goal line by the man we're talking about, the man from Noosa in Jackson Payne.
Still wearing number 40, which is a big, heavy number, but I think with the broad shoulders he's able to carry it, so he kicks long out towards half-back. Carlton win it back, though, as Walsh gets a hand pass to Sarge. Short kick along the boundary line to Silvani, who takes the mark. That chain actually started by Wiedering, who fed a hand pass away. Had a problem with his elbow earlier. Looks a little banged up. Silvani kicks to the hot spot. Again, Charlie Curnow just throwing his body at the pack, and Payne pumps it through for a rush behind.
Yeah, it might have been a little block there on Curnow. Why he looked like he was throwing his body. I think it was Wilmot maybe just got in his run. He looked to the umpire and said, hang on a sec.
Brisbane by 32, 7 gone in the last.
Connor McKenna, the former Bomber, kicks it short. Sharing it around defensively. They've taken the foot off the pedal, got it to Berry, who got it to Coleman, who's still out there, which is wonderful to see. Kicks long down the line, the spoil from the rising Kemp. But at ground level, it's all Brisbane. Berry to Hipwood, to Zach Bailey, steps back in, lost it. Dropped it cold because of the pressure. Chera now. A mark to Newman. Newman wants to go through the middle. He goes wide where Kennedy, who started as a sub, has been activated, is on. This is better with the build-up to Charlie Cameron. He's a long way out, but he's got Durden in the pocket. Hang on, play stopped. Something happened behind play. It was Mackay. Free kick going to Harris Andrews. Just when the Blues looked like they'd opened them up finally and could run in for back-to-back goals. Harry Mackay's been pinged for something off the ball, has he? Yep. Tangle with Harris Andrews.
Oh, I don't know why the free kick's taken where the ball is, isn't it? Must be.
Oh, it's taking, whatever advantage is the team receiving the free kick more.
Brisbane by 32. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Lyons has come into the Lions have activated their sub down here, guys. Jared Lyons is into the game. Kadeem Coleman is subbed out.
Thanks, Hodgie. We saw him with that cramp, obviously, in that third quarter, so now out of the game. Brisbane work it up with the wing. Sharp gets a high kick inside the forward 50. Kemp hits up to meet it. There's a free kick. It's a hold, and it's going Wiedering's way. So Carlton free on the back flank. Brisbane by 32 points. Wiedering, some indecision, goes back to Newman. Marks top of the defensive goal square. Carlton actually led time on in the first quarter, and from that point on, Brisbane flex, kicked 9 of the next 11 goals in the match. Led by as many as 41. They lead it by 32 here, 10 gone in the last. And what was a sold-out crowd, it really thinned out at three-quarter time and a bit before it. Long kick from Hewitt, out towards half-back for Carlton. Pack forms, tapping it out in front of himself. Chincotta, Neal goes in, wrestles it free. Hand pass, though, went to Ed Kernow, the Blues. Hand pass to Honey, kicks down for Durden. Wanted a free, didn't get it. Answorth can just pump it back in the other direction for Brisbane. And Hewitt takes the intercept mark, defensive side of the wing. Brisbane by 32, 10 gone in the last.
Hewitt to centre half back. Teixeira wants to move it through the corridor and has got Sard. Sard now by foot, goes quickly. Couple of quick kicks rather. Durden out wide. There's players everywhere. Akers can handball over to Motlop, who snaps it from the edge of the goal square. Back-to-back goals for the Blues. Lions have taken their foot off the pedal. And Motlop's kicked his second. Brisbane still lead it by 22 points. Carlton 8-7-55. They were goalless in that third term and just one in the second. Have kicked 2 to start this final term. Brisbane 12-9-81.
Isn't it different mindsets just have us looking at teams differently? So 22 points the margin.
It's not much.
As you just called it, it's not much. And if this was Collingwood playing the Brisbane Lions, right now we'd be saying, here they come. Collingwood, they've done it before. Yeah. This is what they do. They're going to take the game on. Carlton have started this last quarter really well. They've got to somehow churn that belief up amongst the group from now. Let's just play on at all costs. Let's move the ball as fast as we can. Let's risk losing by more to possibly get another. If they kick 2 more goals in the next 5 or 6 minutes, it's game on. They've got to believe it.
Brisbane by 26 points in the middle. Silvani got a hand pass out to Cripps. Handball to Chera, gives it to Doherty. High kick forward, and Kennedy with courage makes contact with Answorth in the air, but takes the mark. Kicks a floater in the Charlie Curnow direction. No mark. Spills through to Hollands. Has it stolen away by Sharp. Short kick for Brisbane to centre half back from McCluggage. He just kicks into space on the broadcast wing. Doherty will get there first, though, in game 150. Short kick along the boundary line. Mackay gets to it on the hop. Bounces off his chest and out of play. 70 out from the Carlton goal. So the Blues were the only 2 of this final term, which is 12 minutes old. Brisbane by 26.
But conversely, Lingy, I would like to see who's leading from Brisbane's point of view to say, hang on, we've got to get back in this game just to ice the game, because we're leaving the door right open at the moment.
Shallow throw in. Silvani with the fist forward. It got it at half forward here, the Blues, although now here's a chance for the Lions. Through Ashcroft, a little give and go. Ashcroft goes again. He breaks the tackle. Danaher gives it off to Rayner. He's brought down. Blues are suddenly hungry. Blues have got the turnover in the centre of the ground. They're sharing it around. Oh, that's a wonderful tackle. Play on. Rayner steals it. Rayner bombs long. And this might be a goal for the Brisbane Lions. No, McGovern with a crucial little basketball slap denied Gunston the ball. Gunston would have been able to snap through a goal, and instead the handball over the top to Newman. Newman to Hollands. Hollands short to Charlie Curnow. Defensive side of the City wing. He waits for the run of Hollands, who flares by. He accepts the handball. He kicks to Doherty, who gives it back to Hollands, who wasn't expecting it. Doherty now. Off he gives it. Chance for Motlop. He's too far out. They need a mark. Harry's there. Off hands Harris Andrews with the spoil. Game's come alive. 12 minutes to play. If you're a Blues fan, you've got your key in the ignition. Don't turn it on. Get back in here under the closed roof.
Use the red card to get back in.
So Andrews just outside the defensive goal square. Goes long to half back. Pack forms. Silvani wins it down. Spills to Akers. Hand pass to Kennedy's mowed down by Lyons. Ball spills free. Ashcroft for Brisbane. Hand pass to McInerney. Tumbles a kick down the wing. Kent keeps it in front of him and knocks it out of play. The throw in front of the Carlton interchange. Brisbane by 25 points. 14 gone final term. Is this game over?
Well, no, you can't say that with 21 points.
No.
That is a long time to do nothing.
But don't come back from the car unless Carlton get the next goal.
Yes,
Okay, all right. So sit in the car for a while. 25 points, Brisbane lead it by. Boundary throw in. It's taken here by Carlton. Here's a chance for Walsh. He can't control it through the legs of Wilmot. Goes and gets it. Gives it off to Ashcroft, who's dumped by Cripps.
I'll tell you who else doesn't think it's over is Chris Fagan. He's up jumping around like, he's, as a coach, you want the siren to sound right now.
So tossed up in the air, right in front of the benches. McInerney down to Ashcroft. Kick away. Hipwood gets rid of the would-be tackler. Off to Bailey. Look away handball to Hipwood. He's got it 50 out on the lead. He spears it to Danaher. And if Joe Danaher goes back and kicks through his second of the night, Blues fans, if you're in the car, you can drive home.
Just a crucial
Beautiful bit of play.
It was great play, but McGovern had Hipwood and was just able to shrug him off. Terrific play by Hipwood, but McGovern with the boundary line there to use as a friend.
That's right, yeah.
Had to just finish that one. Instead, Hipwood with superb play sets up what should be the game-sealing goal.
Brisbane led by 40 points at three-quarter time. We thought the game was over. The Blues come out and gone bang, bang. But Danaher straight through the middle. And that should just about seal it. His second, 10 minutes to go. And it's the Lions by 31 points. They silence the Blues fans here after a mini surge from Carlton. 13-9-87, Carlton 8-8-56.
Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Corbin, if the boys can see down here, Patrick Cripps, he's done something clearly to his right thumb. He's having an amazing amount of strapping to it. I'm sure he'll have some scans over the weekend. He's in a hell of a lot of pain, but they're working ferociously on it, strapping it heavily to get him back out there. But that is the last thing they need is an injury to their superstar.
Oh, you're spot on, Timmy. And a thumb injury, it's half your hand, a thumb. You just, and one of the things you don't do, if you're down like this and there's any doubt, another whack on it, you won't be able to tackle, you're better off icing it or even get some early treatment on it.
I think it happened the last centre bounce. So after the Motlop goal, he was taken down in a tackle and looked to be grimacing on the ground. Carlton going forward here, out of the middle as Cherry gets a kick to half forward. Charlie Curnow hits up, grabs it, tries to fend off the tackle. They've all got him. Three-man tackle and he's caught holding the ball. Free kick for Jack Payne.
Well, he's been excellent, Payne. Curnow's tried his heart out, there's no question. He hasn't given it up.
What a year he's having. As Payne goes long down the boundary line, hit with the target, not close to the line, kept alive by Akers. Just whacks it back to Pitternet. Kicks to half forward for Carlton. Wilmot had hands on it, no mark. Spills through to Charlie Curnow, centre half forward. Hand pass to Kennedy, kicks inside 50 to Hollands. Hollands into the open goal, slots it through. And pick 11 in last year's national draft, Ollie Hollands. Pops one back for Carlton to get it back to a 25-point game, but now they're racing time as well as the scoreboard. Brisbane lead it 13-9-87, Carlton 9-8-62. 17 gone final term. Mick Malthouse, Cameron Lingland, Grandstand AFL.
I know you might... The argument against this might be that it's junk time and getting to that phase. But they look so much better when they move the ball faster and they're aggressive with their running patterns.
Yeah.
And when you've got targets like Mackay and Curnow, you can always know that if I go and I turn and I've realised I've made the wrong decision, I've made a bad decision, I'm under the pump, just kick it long and bail out to those two guys. It's not like they don't have targets there. I want to see them play like this more often for a whole game where they're prepared to take a few more risks to get it in there quicker.
Bounce favours Pitnet in the ruck. He just thumps it forward to centre half forward. Clever by Ed Curnow. Off to Kennedy. Kennedy with the rush kick to the top of the goal square. Payne playing in front of Charlie Curnow has been paid the mark. Fans don't like it. Jack Payne with the kick. It's a beautiful kick as well. Almost worked its way to Dunkley. Over the boundary line, and the Blues have given away a free here, so it's going to be a Brisbane Lions kick.
But no idea what that's for, because that was very, very good play by the Carlton player. I think he got his hand on the ball.
Kick goes against Akers. Dunkley's going to take it. Half back for Brisbane. Kicks to a contest on that City wing. Hand on it from McInerney on the way through. Gets to Chincotta. Hand pass to Doherty. Slick hands back to Sard. Hand pass to Chera. Carlton with it but retreating. Now some go forward. Hand pass to Newman. Swings his kick across the centre square to Mackay, who marks. Now trying to draw Berry on the mark. Still doesn't give it to Hollands. Then looks at him late and still doesn't give it to him. And Mackay with it, defensive side of the wing. Now goes long to a one-on-one. Ed Curnow horribly outsized. Flies in the air, no mark. Payne spills it over the boundary line. A throw-in next to the interchange gates. Brisbane by 25, 19 gone final term. Carlton's run ahead too. Talk about how they finish these games, Lingy. So the Bulldogs next week, then Collingwood, Sydney away, Melbourne, Essendon. It's a big 5 weeks for Carlton.
It is. Huge.
Dockside wing, and it's Pitnet that takes it out of the ruck, gets the hurried kick away. Silvani was there, caught behind. Durden with a handball back to Hollands into Chera. Chera's taken high by Link McCarthy.
How good is it, by the way, to say Essendon, and it's not just an easy beat game. It's kind of like a difficult matchup.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Chera's got it in the inside centre square.
Been a long time since we've done that.
He kicked a goal in this term. He's looking for a target in there. Can't find a target. And a ball up. Leicester has been tackled by Honey.
45,000. Interesting.
45,548. Probably 20,000 remaining after three-quarter time in the Lions led it by 40. So Brisbane through Berry tries to clear it from the stoppage. A bouncing ball. It's been able to be controlled by Doherty to Hollands. Handballs back to Doherty in his 150th. He goes wider still to Akers. On his left, top of the goal square. Who's there for the Blues? No one. It's swatted away. It's been the story of the night. Payne and Harris Andrews swatting away everything and wearing the two big key forwards like a glove and clearly getting on top. Brisbane by 25.
That Carlton Essendon game, by the way, is the AFL's new blockbuster. So it's going to be a King's Birthday Eve game. So big 24 hours at the MCG, sort of similar to we have the big 24 hours for Anzac Day. It'll be Carlton Essendon on the Sunday night, and then the Monday game will be Melbourne Collingwood. So a couple of big blockbusters back to back. We'll see how that goes in year one on the fixture. 21 minutes into the final term. Brisbane by 25 from the restart. Forward pocket for Carlton. Dunkley's bowled over. He's going to get a free kick. It's against Durden for the illegal Shepherd. He's not too happy about it. Neither are the Carlton fans that are still here. Free kick for Dunkley. Jack Payne's had 5 touches in his final term. He leads Brisbane for the quarter, by the way, in that category as the kick heads out a half back for Carlton.
It's Dunkley's 31st disposal as well. Brisbane again. So they're looking to build from half back. Ashcroft handballs over to Hipwood right in front of the Brisbane Lions bench. He just bangs it long and Newman's there to mark uncontested. Right on the arc, brings it back inboard. Missed the target in Hollands. Said that a bit tonight. McGovern able to get it. Hollands tackled. Kick just grobbers along the ground to the Brisbane Lions. It's error-riddled this final term. Tired players out there. Now good passage of teamwork and some shepherding off the balls. Allows Doherty to come in. Kick long. And he was kicking towards Durden. But charging across was Dunkley. And that is possession number 32. He's had the most on the park so far tonight, Josh Dunkley. Proving to be a very handy recruit for the Brisbane Lions.
So he toughens them up, Cal, through the middle, and he gives them another option. But they can't all focus on Neil. And if you let him go, he's going to get the ball 30 odd times. He's not a great kick for goal, but around the ground he just keeps getting the hard footy.
Another junk time. Oh no, the kick from Dunkley. Mick gave him a big pump up. His kick missed Harris Andrews, and Durden's able to pounce and put through his second. Error riddled. A big mistake by Josh Dunkley. We gave him a big pump up and he slaps his hands. He's filthy with himself, even though it is the final 5 minutes of the game. It's margins back to 19 points. Carlton 10-8-68. Brisbane 13-9-87. We've declared the game over twice. 19 points, 5 minutes and 22.
Well,
Well, we did say that his kicking was ordinary. We didn't say, we said he gets it, but that was just another shocking kick.
It was just one step, leant back on it, missed it by a mile. You try something if you're Carlton here. You just get somebody on the fly. Joe Danaher is going to come up and take the ruck for Brisbane. Get somebody on the fly.
Yeah.
Who knows? You just get a goal here, and all of a sudden, they tighten up a touch.
They haven't got their best ruckman on the ball. This is when you take toll. Go for it.
Charge forward.
Smash it.
One player.
4-1 for the quarter. Carlton's way. Pitternet palms it to himself. Hurried kick forward. Turns it over. Gunston with the intercept mark. For Brisbane, he goes out wide.
Blues fans would just be pulling into their driveway now, Langy. Stay in your car. Leave us on.
Brisbane by
5 minutes.
Brisbane by 19 points. 24 gone final term. Answorth goes long down the wing after taking some seconds. Off hands, it spills through to McCarthy. Tumbles a kick inside the forward arc. It'll sit for Lyons. He kicks to the top of the goal square. Man all alone. Sharp spills the mark. Regathers. Puts it on ice. As he pumps it up into the second deck. And bouncing off the glass of the corporate box in the process. And Brisbane, for the third time, shut the door on the game. 25 played final term. The Lions 14-9-93. Carlton 10-8-68. And Harry Sharp kicking
first goal.
His first goal in AFL footy. It was a bit of a slow reaction, not just from me, but from his teammates as well. Wasn't too many people getting to him, and now...
Well, I think he kicked it before he marked it.
Definitely.
They'd start to catch on. So good on Harry Sharp. First game of the year. His 8th game overall. First since round 18 last year. And
Carlton fans can go and have that cup of tea now, Cal. They can leave us there. But again, I feel bad saying Nick Newman, just another strange decision. Instead of trying to attack it with hands, just tried to soccer it off the ground or control it at his feet and then let it get out the back. And Sharp said, thank you very much.
Here go the Brisbane Lions again. I'd like a couple late. Just to top it off, breaking out of the centre, but the Blues can get there. This is Kemp. Newman. Sard. Handballs to Wiedering. Wiedering's kick was bang on to McGovern across half back, an uncontested mark. Spins back and then delivers. Looking for Pitnet. Had to get right down low. He's gone at the defensive side of that centre circle and up and under. He's going to really make Akers work for it. It bounced into Akers' face and came back to Gunston. And now Lions all by hand. Here's a chance for the Brisbane Lions. This is Berry. Puts it on the chest of the sliding Hipwood. He's 60 metres out. Who's in the goal square calling for it? Charlie Cameron, that's who. Instead, skirts the perimeter, goes short to Answorth, but wider still. So he's just a step or two in from the boundary. Noah Answorth runs around the man on the mark. Kicks long, right to the goal square. Who's there? Sard. Off to Sam Walsh in that back pocket, and then he's able to deliver the kick, and the mark to McGovern goes short to Kennedy. Kennedy handballs back inboard. It's dangerous. Puts Walsh under the pump. He's tackled to the turf. And the Brisbane Lions player down there is Lester.
Brisbane next week.
It's Dunkley, in fact. Dunkley's had a brilliant game tonight. And Sam Walsh gets up a little sore as well.
Brisbane next week back at the Gabba. They play Essendon. The Bombers in Adelaide this week, so Adelaide and then a trip to Brisbane next week for the Dons. Hurried kick forward from the restart by Pitternet. Charlie Curnow flies at it, spills down to Andrews. Hand pass to McCluggage. Floats a high kick to half forward for the Lions. Competing in the air, Hipwood. 2 up for the Blues. Berry at ground level. Kicks to Charlie Cameron. Caught in a wrestle in the forward pocket. says play on. Doherty shoots a hand pass to Sard. On the back flank. Has a bounce. Cutting across the half-back line. He kicks out to Ed Curnow. Gets to it on the hop. Swings his kick up to the wing for Chincotta. He takes the mark on the logo. Moves it swiftly inside the forward 50. Mackay one-on-one. Andrews just swats it away. Whacks it down at the feet of Gunston, who can clean it up for Brisbane. And he kicks out wide to Lester, who marks against the boundary line City side. He'll come back to Answorth. Huge turnaround for Brisbane in the game. Trailed time on in the first quarter. They kicked 9 of the next 11 goals and led by as many as 41 late in the third term. And Carlton have been able to put a bit of a pretty face on it in this final term. It's Brisbane by 25 deep into time on in the last.
And they've got possession of it on the City side wing. And a long kick though It's all Blues waiting at the back. Here's a chance. Doherty has handballed it out in front of Walsh. He slides on in and then he's tackled. Needs to get rid of it and does. It flicks the way of Hipwood, who just throws it on the boot. Bangs it into the pocket. Here's a chance for Charlie Cameron. But well done by Brodie Kemp, who was the most nervous man left under the closed roof here at Docklands. He was able to grab that and to run it through for a behind.
I thought that had a magnet on it, Mick. It was just going to keep going into the open goal face.
Absolutely.
Their kicking is terrible.
Bad kick again from Carlton. Comes up to Danaher. Hand pass to McCluggage. Short kick to Berry. It was Doherty on this occasion with the clanger coming out of the defensive 50, and now Berry turns it over straight to Chera. Takes the intercept mark for Carlton. He kicks it to centre half back to Durden. And the Blues try and rebound here off the back flank. Kennedy marks. Short kick to Walsh. Better final turn from the Blues. They've kicked 4 goals to 2. As Walsh kick goes out wide to Chincotta. He tries to drill a drop punt inside 50. Kicks it straight into Lester. He's in front of him. Paddles it out to Starcevic. Wants a stoppage. Tackled by Silvani. And the ump says, I'll have it a ball up. So the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night. The next assignment for Carlton, of course, with the Dogs still to play tomorrow night. I'm just going to chuck it up here, half forward for Carlton. Leaping up Pitternet, down to Kennedy. He shoots goalward. That's a hell of a kick on the run. And the sub pops through a special late for the Blues. Just palms straight down to him, passing through the stoppage. Net speed. Kennedy was able to chuck it on the boot and drill it from 45 out. 20-point game. Brisbane lead at 14-10 to 11-8. 30 gone, final turn.
Well, Kennedy's had 12 this quarter. A bigger bodied player. Reasonable finish. Had a great year last year. I just don't know why he's sort of fallen out of favour. I know he's not lightning quick, but and you put him and Cripps together, they're not lightning, but they keep winning the football.
I wonder if in the review of this game, from Carlton's perspective, the coaches, they don't think we should have gone 8 minutes earlier with him.
Yeah.
In that third term, when Brisbane's midfield was completely on top, it hadn't yet powered away on the scoreboard. It might have been 20-odd points the difference. Just perhaps go with Kennedy there. Free kick here to the Lions, a 666 violation, their second one of the game.
McInerney, who's been so good for the Brisbane Lions in the ruck, absolutely thumps it and he gets hold of it. A big fly and it's going to be paid to Hipwood. He launched early, but he was able to juggle it on his way down.
Just wondering where that... So this is where Young would have been there. And this goal means nothing at the end of it, but I don't know whether Carlton got it right today. Just with Kennedy out of the side. And Brisbane looked so quick. I know Kennedy's not quick. Maybe that was their thinking, but if you've got the football, doesn't matter how quick your opposition is, you've got the ball.
So the Blues have scored 5 goals to 2 in this final term. Hipwood lining up for their third, but it's the Brisbane Lions that lead it by 20 points. Hipwood on a slidey shangle, 30 metres out. He converts right on the siren. And after a soft killer in the West last week, Carlton's dealt a reality check. The Lions make it 5 in a row. They're on top of the AFL ladder.
We are the pride of Brisbane town. We wear the roll, blue and gold. We will always fight for victory, like Fitzroy and Bears are bold. All for one and one for all. We will answer to the call. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions. We'll kick the winning score. You'll hear a mighty roar.
12-9-81. In fact, rather, I'm reading the three-quarter time score there. It was Brisbane by 40 points at three-quarter time. It's 15-10-100 to Carlton, 11-8-74. So Brisbane prevail by 26 points.
Always fight for victory, like Fitzroy and Bears are bold. All for one and one for all. We will answer to the call. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions. We'll kick the winning score. You'll hear a mighty roar. You'll hear a
story of the night was that Payne held Curnow to 1 goal and Harris Andrews held Harry Mackay to 1 goal. And up the other end, it was Charlie Cameron who booted 4, so he moves to 26 on the Coleman. And Charlie Curnow with 31, so he's just 5 behind. Jeremy Cameron with 30, sitting second, and Tom Hawkins has been relegated down to 4th position with Charlie Cameron taking that. So the goal kickers, Charlie Cameron 4, Zach Bailey with 4, Joe Danaher with 2, and Jack Gunston with 2. And for the Blues, 2 each for Motlop and Durden, 1 for Charlie Curnow, 1 for Harry Mackay, 1 for Jarrah, 1 for Ed Curnow, 1 for Hollands, 1 for Doherty, and 1 for Matt Kennedy, most of them in the last term. It was Brisbane, Corbin, by 26 points to make it 5 wins in a row.
If I had said to you, Cal, that Neil had 9 and 11, the way Brisbane have been playing in the last 12 months, 18 months, would you say that they would have won the game?
No.
So, the Dunkley get.
Yep.
Berry had a lot, McCluggage had a lot.
Yep.
Neil's had 9 11. Jarrah had, for Carlton, had 33. Akers 29. Doherty, Walsh, Hewitt. They all had a lot of the football. But a lot of that lived in the front 50 of Brisbane.
Lachie Neale did a lot of that early, didn't he? He was very busy early.
60 more possessions Carlton had across the night. The Lions Lane, 75 tackles, but 65 of them were in the first quarter, and 2 minutes basically. They had 65 when we shouted it out early in that final term. A lot of criticism of Chris Fagan's teams too about whether they hold up defensively. We outlined this earlier in the night. So since round 1, they've given up 76.5 points per game. And they keep a powerful offensive team with weapons that Carlton have to 74 under the roof at Docklands while kicking 100 themselves. So a 26-point win for Brisbane. They've won 5 on the bounce. They're 6-2 with a share of top spot, as Kel mentioned. Mick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling with your initial thoughts.
And it's right across the ground, Corbs, where they've improved with that defensive effort. And it ties in with the midfield, what Mick's talking about, having a deeper midfield, not relying on 1 or 2 players or one in particular. It means right across the ground, they're either winning the ball well, Brisbane, or they're putting enormous pressure on it. They caused Carlton to over-handball the ball tonight. I think 169 handballs Carlton had. Brisbane only had 108. And it just meant that Carlton were getting the ball immediately under the pump. Oh, here, somebody else can have it.
Absolutely.
They caused, because of their pressure around the ball, Carlton to turn the ball over. Some horrible kicking, but that comes from some terrific Brisbane pressure. And then those defenders are playing better, absolutely, and you highlighted Payne, his improvement this year, Mick, but they can afford to take more aggressive starting points. They're helped by a higher kick, maybe an uglier kick, maybe a kick that's, instead of being to the forward's advantage, it's directly on his head. So it's all tying in together where that improvement's come from, not just their back six is playing better or just that their midfield. They're really working hand in hand at the moment and played some terrific footy tonight. I was disappointed with Carlton at times, some of the things they did, but I thought Brisbane took the game away from them, especially, of course, that third quarter where they just controlled everything across the ground.
One of your former players, Mick Moldhouse, in Mitch Robinson, has made the trip down for the game, and I noticed the TV cameras kept looking at him late in the game.
With his gear on.
Yeah, with his gear on, but he also had a medal in his hands, and he's put on social media, "I've touched down in Melbourne for the inaugural Mitch Robinson medal. Heading down to the game now. Who do you think will claim the medal tonight?" And he's holding up a medal in his hands, and he was sitting in about the third row, and he had the medal to hand out. So
hang on, can we just go back to the first bit? He's wearing his jumper.
Yes, he's wearing his Brisbane Lions jumper.
I think he had a Carlton one on underneath. And he's decided to make his own medal.
Yes. Mick, your silence says it all.
I'm just thinking.
No, don't say anything.
No, is there a full moon? That's all. I'm most asking, is there a full moon? And is he howling?
It takes different people, and he's a character of the game.
That's
why you smile? Now you laugh.
You make me laugh.
Oh, no.
I love it. That's great. Made his own medal.
I wonder who's going to win it. But Brisbane by 26
He'll
points.
tell us on social media.
I'll give you a tip. What he'll do, he'll put it around his own neck.
15-10, 100 Brisbane. Carlton 11-8-74 full-time. The Brisbane Lions players just thanking the loyal cheer squad, of course, many of them with Fitzroy links in this part of the world. So that we'll head into the Brisbane room shortly for some reaction on the back of their 26-point win here to start round 8 over the Blue Baggers.
Watching a few of the coaching staff getting around to different Brisbane Lions players and just going straight up to Josh Dunkley. When we talk about where that improvement can come from and not focusing on Neil, you're just watching the interactions, you're seeing how important Jared Berry is, Hugh McCluggage, obviously Josh Dunkley now. Just obviously really excited by the sharing of the load, and sometimes you can just tell particular players have had a bit of a focus during the week, or they've had a bit of a challenge set for them, and they were obviously able to accomplish that tonight.
It's good to get around Lingy with their crowd.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of Lions, probably fit the old Fitzroy, but there'll be a few people would have come down for the game. It's just terrific the way players did it today.
The injury to Cripps isn't too much of a worry. He's not going to be given any thumbs up tonight. That's from Ruley in Adelaide, obviously, after the thumb injury to Patrick Cripps in the last quarter. Hopefully he's okay.
A bit like that in Adelaide, though.
Hey. Blues play when the game's all over from Bill, and from a lifelong Blues fan, going to the dentist is less painful. A 26-point win for Brisbane over Carlton tonight.
Mixed chuckling.
More on the Blues in a moment, but let's celebrate with the winners. Into the Brisbane rooms with our own Tim Hodges. Hodgie.
No one was more surprised. Chris Fagan just walked into the rooms and realised Mitch Robinson was here in his full kit, so gave him a bear hug and shook his head. The Lions on top of the ladder as we speak, guys, and this will be a very happy song. Warrnambool boy Hugh McCluggage to join us after. So there it is, the 6th time this year the Lions get to sing their song. As I said, we'll bring you Hugh McCluggage very shortly, crew.
Thanks, Hodgie. The SMS number 0437 774 774 from Rachel and Forrest from Ballarat. My cat is loving the call, and also the Lions mauling the Baggers. Can Richmond win tomorrow? They're from Rachel. Nice to hear from you. From Em in Melbourne, who's a Pies fan, so also enjoying Carlton getting beat. I'm also a big fan of Chris Fagan, so happy moments, happy sentiments on that front off the SMS. I'll be keen to hear from some Carlton fans driving home too. We'll get to the Blues in just a moment. And I think this is a bit cheeky from Dean. Dean says, they said that the Mitch Robinson medal was going to go to the best player on the losing team because he was sacked by both of them.
Dino.
I'm not sure about that, Dino. He's had a really nice career, Mitch Robinson, and obviously sort of kicked again when he went to Brisbane playing on the wing, and but that is rare. It's very unusual that you see sort of current day players wearing not one but two of their playing jumpers in the rooms the year after they've retired.
And
has a medal.
And smacked the club as he went out the door.
Yeah. They give him a real
I was just watching the circle just to see whether a 24th player would sneak in.
He was trying to.
He was, wasn't he? He was looking to get in.
Those two blokes in the black uniforms holding his arms, are they pushing him in? You reckon they're pulling him out?
I didn't see that bit. Anyway.
I just made it up.
There it is.
Brisbane by 26 points full-time over Carlton. Some reaction from the Brisbane rooms momentarily. So I feel like there's going to be a lot spoken about Carlton, understandably, coming out of this game. But the Brisbane win, and just to sort of tie a bow on that before we get some reaction from their rooms. I mean, they were 1-2 to start the season. There was a whole lot of talk about sort of where they were headed. They've now won 5 in a row. And they've clearly improved in a lot of areas.
Yep. Well, they've got depth through the midfield. You've highlighted the defence is really solid. And that forward line, when it buzzes around like that and you've got multiple options, it wasn't the big guys who nailed the goals. Obviously, it was Bailey and Charlie Cameron. Jack Gunston bobs up for 2. Danaher finds 2. Hipwood got 1 late, but just multiple options everywhere.
We can go into the winners' rooms. Brisbane by 26 over Carlton. Tim Hodges.
Good Warrnambool boy Hugh McCluggage has been good enough to come over and join us. Chris Fagan's reaction was gold when he walked in and saw Mitch Robinson in the full kit. What was your reaction?
I saw him a couple of times in game actually. He was standing behind our bench and yelling a bit of a bit of rubbish as he does. So, it's good to have him in here. I think he's got the Carlton Guernsey on underneath, so I think he was sort of supporting both sides, and he can't lose tonight, which is good.
So you actually heard him during the game while you're on the bench?
Yeah, he was standing right behind it, and I think he had his Lions kit on. He was standing in the middle of all the Carlton supporters stirring it up. So he's a great man, and always good to have old players back in the rooms.
Can I ask you about tonight? I mean, that's a sign of a good team, right? To come to Melbourne to beat another serious contender on the bigger stage.
Yeah, definitely. The Blues are going really well. They obviously had a big win last week, and people probably have asked questions about our ability to win on the road, and it's really tough. We've spoken about that. I mean, some of the best teams only go at 50 or 60% on the road, so they're really valuable wins, and we were able to grind it out. I think, in particular, our second half defensively was really good. They probably only scored 30 or 40-odd points, which is something that we worked on in the off-season, and with the flair and the offensive side just takes care of itself.
In that third term, did it feel good when you really put the foot to the accelerator and pulled clear? Like, you played as good a footy, I reckon, as you have all season long?
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, I think some of the defensive efforts from the boys, which turned the ball around the other way and got our small forwards involved, were huge. And when we get guys like Zach Bailey, Charlie Cameron, Joey Danaher, Eric Hipwood into the game, it's pretty hard to stop that forward line. There's a lot of guys that can play really well, kick goals, and the same with our midfield. Really even contribution tonight, probably led by Dunks in there.
You're on top of the ladder, so well done. I'll send you upstairs, Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
Hugh, well done on the win. Fantastic performance, fantastic game from yourself. You mentioned Josh Dunkley there. Internally, what's he brought to the table?
I think that last quarter where he ran back on the 45 and made a huge spoil in defence, and then laid a massive tackle on Sam Walsh, I think it was. They're the things that he's brought to the club, that never say die attitude and that defensive ability. He's been amazing, and we're slowly building that connection offensively with him, but he's one of the hardest at the footy I've played with, and just a great team man.
It seems, this is from the outside, that the team's never had a real issue with scoring and attacking and moving the ball, but it feels like your pressure and your defensive work around the ball, which is also helping the back six, has just gone to another level this year. Has that been a major focus for the group?
Yeah, definitely. We worked pretty hard on it in the off-season, and team defence obviously starts with that pressure and that ability to be able to chase and put that frontal pressure on those high handball teams, which probably we've played the last 4 or 5 weeks. Teams that like to chain the ball with their hands, so we've been able to pressure them really well, and off the back of that we get really good looks. But at the same time, I think guys like Payne and Harris are in career best form because of that pressure up the field.
Hugh, congratulations, mate. Just the way it looks at, I think there's been a bit of criticism early in the season. And I'll ask you these questions. One about Joe Danaher. I think everyone loves Joe, but he just didn't seem to be taking his football as serious as maybe a lot of people would have thought he should have. He just seems to have responded to that criticism, and he seems more serious. He seems to be attacking every football goes anywhere near him. Would that be fair to say? And was there any internal pressure on him at all?
There was no internal pressure. Obviously, everyone sees what was being written about him in probably round 2 and 3, and Eric as well, and we had no issues with them, to be honest. There was probably a couple of games where they didn't compete like we wanted them to, but they weren't the only ones. Our small forwards weren't turning up, and we weren't able to win that front half contested ball. So it takes everyone, and as you mentioned, they've been amazing with their ability to get the ball to the ground and take contested marks. They competed probably the first quarter. We allowed Carlton to get a few back half marks, but after that I think they competed really well, and the Smalls reaped the rewards of that.
And what about Oscar McInerney? What's he mean to the side?
Yeah, Big O, one of the most humble blokes you'll ever meet. He'd never say he played a good game, but I think he's competing really well with all the best ruckmen in the league, and he's winning clearances for us, which is huge. He goes back, he goes forward, he can do it all. Owie got here when I first got here, and to see his growth as a person and as a player has been amazing, and I'm just so happy for him. Yeah,
I think he had 10 clearances tonight. So is there any special thing that he does at training to follow that up? Who's your ruck coach at Brisbane?
He's worked closely with Ben Hudson. Up there, and probably it's a combination of things. He's gotten a lot stronger over the off-season in the weights room, and that allows him to be able to move his opponent and just helping us get the ball forward. It's probably his role. He's either tapping it down to the mids, or if he can't do that, grabbing it and getting it going our way.
Hugh, how's the week been for Will Ashcroft after kicking the goal of the year last week? Is he the kind of guy that sort of shows the replay on his phone a few times, or how does he handle that?
No, he's a very cool cucumber. He takes it pretty easy. I think he would have been pretty happy with himself, but yeah, it was quite amazing the goal he kicked, and I think I saw someone say that we've had the last 2 mark and goal of the week, so something's going right up here at Brisbane, which is pretty cool to witness out there.
Yeah. And what does the weekend look like? Do you get a chance to spend a few days in Melbourne?
Yeah, I will actually stay down with probably a fair few boys. We've got a lot of guys from down here with families in Melbourne or down in the country. So, yeah, a lot of us will stay here, and then I think we've got the Bombers next Saturday night, which will be another great challenge.
You sneaking back to the ball?
No, I won't make my way down there. I'll pop down there for Easter, but we'll just stay up here in Melbourne.
Oh, I think the ball's still recovering after the week it's just had. So
no races, yeah. There'll be a few sore heads down there.
Yeah, they're still just putting themselves back together. Appreciate your time, Hugh. Safe travels home. We'll see you next Saturday night.
No worries, thanks.
Hugh McCluggage from the victorious Brisbane Rooms, a 26-point win over Carlton. You mentioned Levi Ashcroft a little earlier. He's been spotted down in the Brisbane Rooms, a younger brother of Will. Is he sort of headed this way as well on the projection he's on?
From all reports, yes.
Projection, yep.
Sometimes you get those getting a little carried away and say he's going to be better than Will. That's a huge statement, but from everything I hear from the people I talk to in footy circles, he's every chance to be every bit as good as Will.
That's
so that's 2 nice players to pick up under the father-son rule for the Lions.
No doubt. How are they better? We just heard what Hugh had to say there. So what do you look at about them in particular and you go, that's an improved version from the side that, made top 4, final 4 in the last 4 seasons?
I think we've covered it today from go to way. We've said that they've tightened up overall. That's my view. It's funny because on the way in I spoke to Greg Swan, and Swanee knows, I tell him my view. I didn't think that they were worthy of winning a premiership the way they played, and for the first couple of games they were pretty ordinary. And I'm first to say to him that it just appears the whole club has tightened up its grip on the game that they want to play. We know they've had their brilliance. Lingy's already said, I think now for over 12 months, about Neil, if he's out of the game, so are Brisbane. Well, now that's not the case. He was good tonight, but he wasn't brilliant. And I meant what I said about Joe Denner. I think Joe is such a lovely bloke that sometimes he's quite happy to be a lovely bloke. You cannot be a lovely bloke when you cross that line. You've got to have you've got to rip arms off other players, and you've just got to be making sure that you contest everything. And I think McCluggage said that he was, we've got no issues with them. We'd like them to fight a little bit harder on the forward line. I mean, that is an issue. That is a big issue, and they did. And when they fight, and again, what Lingy said, they only kicked 3 goals between them, but they probably created another 4 or 5. And they had less goal kickers than Carlton, 7 to 9, but they were able to have the multiples because those players were in the right spot, and the way they got the ball to one another, and their back line, I think Payne is making Andrews a better player because now he can. I don't say Mackay's a second player to Curnow, but as this season goes on, there'll be a roll-off onto a player that he can now intercept and help out a player like Payne, and McInerney in the ruck. They're got almost a complete side.
It is part personnel as well. Dunkley and Ashcroft come into that middle, but Rayner will also spend 5 minutes in there.
Yeah.
And then another year's improvement of the man we just spoke to, Hugh McCluggage, and also Jared Berry in the middle. They're just deeper through there. But stylistically as well, the way that they're playing is subtly different. That pressure on the opposition ball carrier and the ability to not have 2 or 3 run to the ball carrier and reckless pressure, and then you've got release options if you're the opposition. They are one tackler's coming hard, then the handball sideways, he's covered really well. They've just got relentless pressure, and it's forcing turnovers or it's forcing a dump kick. Backline works well together and they can counter-attack. And that forward line doesn't need that many looks. They are a quality forward line, exciting forward line. So the way that they're playing has changed a little bit. Throw in some personnel and depth through that middle of the ground with quality depth, not just rubbish depth. Yeah, they're a markedly better team than they were last year.
So these two teams tonight are 1/3 of the way through their season. Is anything less than a grand final appearance not a failure? That's a big word.
Yeah, I don't
for
like
the
to use
Brisbane
that
Lions?
word.
Top four. Top four.
They should be playing in another preliminary final. They probably should be winning that preliminary final, but if they lost a preliminary final by 8 points,
Sure.
I'm not going to say they've failed.
Yeah, okay. What about the flip side? Carlton, 8 rounds in, 1/3 of the way through. Simple question.
Speaking of questions, I've got a lot more questions.
Okay, well, I've got one simple question for you both. Will they make the 8 this year?
Will
they play in September?
Yeah, I will still say yes.
Really?
I will still say yes, but there is so much to fix up. There really is. The way that they play, the way they move the footy.
Too slow.
Yep. They've got a forward line.
Do you think they'll make it, Mick?
I don't think there's enough. There's not as many good sides as there should be in a competition with 18, and I think they'll fall out into. This is strange. This is oxymoron. They'll fall out into the 8. So in other words, they'll fall out of that group that goes from 6 to 10, 6 to 12, and they'll be better than the ones that fall out.
You can make the argument they look better this time last year than they look now.
Yes, the top 4 to me are almost like you to put them away.
Yep.
Collingwood, Brisbane, Geelong, Melbourne. Now Geelong aren't there at the moment, but they'll get there. They're the 4 that will probably finish 1 to 4.
Yep.
From there on in, you need a little bit of luck.
Who's in that next bracket?
I think the next bracket is probably a Carlton.
Yep.
Dogs.
The SA teams.
Port Adelaide.
St Kilda.
I reckon
Port Adelaide.
I reckon St Kilda and Adelaide are in the same bracket
Yep.
as they've possibly overachieved a little
Really?
bit. I think they'll plateau as the season progresses.
Port's an interesting one because they effectively have to have a winner, have to get there for Ken Hinkley for a start off. Secondly, they're probably better than most of the other sides. The side that we haven't mentioned, and this goes back, history shows this. If you get a whopping in the final,
yep,
there's a lot of things that says you don't make next year.
Yep.
Sydney to me are really shaky.
Yes.
Really shaky.
Since 2008, teams have been beaten by 50 plus on grand final day, and none of them have won a final the following year.
Yeah.
So that's
the other one I quite like. You'll like this one, Corbs. Is the Bombers.
The Bombers.
Watching them last week playing against a very good Geelong team that was red hot with Tom Hawkins, there were a lot of elements that I get the Bombers now. I see
you could
where
make the
it's
argument they've had 3 bad quarters all year. They had the last quarter on Anzac Day, the first quarter against the Cats, and the first quarter against the Saints. And apart from that, you can see it defensively at least, and you do Anzac Day with this, Mick, it sort of looks a little better than it has in the past. Just on Carlton then. So if you're Michael Voss and you leave tonight, what are a couple of the things you're walking away going, damn, we need to fix that straight away?
You just mentioned it, Corby, that you could argue 12 months ago. They won 8 of their first 10 games last year. So they've won 4 of their first 8
and a
this
draw.
year. But what...
Well, they've got to improve that's one, but they've got to improve their. They've got to understand they've got 2 of the best key forwards in the competition. Now we'll put them in that top rank, but they've got to get the ball down to them in such a manner that gives them a chance to be one out. They're not going to win every one. One of the things about a forward is if it goes in 10 times, you win 3. Win 3, you kick 3 goals.
Yep.
It's going to go to you 20 or 30 times. So you're going to be in that position. If it goes down there only 15 times for the day, and you win at half, you've got 5 or 6 goals, but you're still not winning enough games,
Yep.
because it's the methodology. They are that slow between half back and half forward of moving the football. They go around in circles.
The one that irritates me the most, Mick, is when it's a mark or a free kick in the middle of the ground, and you've got an opportunity. They haven't yet raced back the opposition. You can go straight at it to one of those guys, and they go sideways, and it's locked into half the ground. Near the boundary. That is so easy to defend.
So is that an instruction thing, or is that an intent by the players? Is that a fear thing that they're worried about? So if you can see that and identify it, how is that their first option? Is that coached into them to look sideways rather than up front?
Well, I think it must be. They've trained it. They've trained it. Those training habits come out. If you've trained it repetitively, you will do it. Especially when you're under pressure, you'll just immediately revert back to that. So I would hope the instruction shifts to, if we've got it in the middle part of the ground, we've got the whole ground open to us and they haven't yet got back and set, it's a fairly quickish sort of play, free kick, turnover, whatever it might be, we go straight back at it. And we go back like lightning, and even if they don't mark it, Smalls, get under there, buzz around, create havoc, make defenders nervous.
And the other thing, Lingy, those two forwards work very well together. Very rarely are they flying for the same footy.
Yep.
So if they stagger their positioning on the ground, you turn and go, you're going to have a short lead up or a long cross the ground. So you got your 30-metre kick or you got your 60-metre kick, or 50-metre kick, so you're not confused. They're not as if they're two young players just fighting for the same thing in the air. And they do work well together. So why not get the ball in there? Like Curnow one-on-one on the lead is almost impossible to stop. Almost impossible to stop. Now, it's virtually you've got to have a spare defender to cover it. So therefore, you're already changing your own style. Some sides like to have the extra defender, but if they got the extra defender, so are you. That's when you can run the football. So you can force the opposition into doing what you want them to do. But right now, Carlton are just too slow forward of the ball.
Kitty Coleman ended the game with ice on his left hamstring, so he was spotted in the rooms afterwards, so that'll be a watch for Brisbane this week ahead of a date with Essendon next Saturday night. And it's a huge Saturday night here as well for Carlton, so they play the Western Bulldogs. The Dogs still to play this weekend against GWS, and it feels like the perfect matchup at the right time for both those two teams. Brisbane winners by 26 here tonight in the NRL. It was the Raiders by 4 over the Bulldogs, and the Brisbane Broncos 32-6, big winners by 26 over Manly. The votes, Lingy in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yes, Charlie Cameron, I'm going to give him 1 vote for his 4 goals, and just dangerous the whole time. I think Zach Bailey kicked 4 as well, 3 in the third quarter, but I reckon Charlie Cameron's presence created a couple of those goals for Zach. 2 votes goes to Josh Dunkley, the man we spent a fair bit of the night talking about. 33 disposals, 13 tackles, I love that about him, and 11 marks as well. He plays taller often, but I'm going to give best on ground to certainly I thought the most influential player on the ground, Oscar McInerney. 10 clearances, 29 hit-outs. I don't always react to hit-outs, but I reckon of those 29, most of those created havoc and were out in front of his team and let them be on the front foot and be proactive. So Big O gets the 3 votes, Corbs.
Not that you need to hear it from me, Lingy, as someone with your decorated background in the game, but I love those votes. I thought it's easy to get sucked in by the gaudy 33 and the numbers from the midfielder, but Oscar McInerney, what a night he had. Game high 10 clearances, 3 votes, 2 for Dunkley, 1 for Charlie Cameron. Footy tomorrow, so West Coast up against Richmond, the first game at the MCG. We're both off to Geelong.
We are.
Small hail forecast, Lingy, in your neck of the woods tomorrow.
And Crows, the last time they beat Geelong at Cardinia Park, 20 years ago. Pretty much exactly to the day. Guess who was playing that afternoon?
Sure I wasn't.
Sealing?
Sure I wasn't.
Sealing. You were named in the best.
Off injured. Oh, was I?
Yeah,
Thanks,
you were named
Cal.
in the best.
Thank
So
you.
20 years since the Crows
What was the
won
result?
down there.
What did they win by?
No, it was actually 20 points about in the end. I checked that.
Let's see if they can do it tomorrow. Join us from 12 noon Eastern across the country. Full time at Docklands tonight. The Lions by 26. Good evening.